GLES Eagles.
And welcome in, everybody, to a Football Friday edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports. I'm your host, Zander Krause. That's my co-host, John McMullen, fresh off the nice schedule released last night. Johnny Mac, how you doing on this Friday morning, my friend?
Doing well. Finally here. We could finally talk about actual projected games, as opposed to, and that's a win, that's a loss time. Let's get it going. You don't have to. We'll show up January 16th. Because I'm going to tell you exactly what's going to happen between then. That's the start of the playoffs, by the way. January 16th, I believe. So you don't even have to watch the season. We're going to tell you exactly what's going to happen.
John, rank it's a win, it's a loss among list season and mock drafts. What is the Johnny Mac ranking of those three things?
Boy, that's tough. That is like that is like, Sophie's Choice. You got to choose between your children. That is just the Sophie's Choice of hated children. Mock draft, it's astonishing as it sounds. I think mock draft is the least. Wow,
really? I thought this one would be, honestly.
Oh no, this is ridiculous. This is so blatantly ridiculous. That's why I started the way. Like, it is just absurd that people think they can pick games the minute when the schedule is.
But you gotta have a little fun with it. Come on, John. You understand that.
Hey, I do it. But I can I? That's my fun to point out how stupid it is. And I have some fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And as a Johnny Mac truther, and you're a reporter, so I get it. But I'm just saying, like, the game it's an entertainment business, right? Like, that's what we cover. You know what I mean? And I understand why fans
it is.
We're gonna beat that team. I understand that part of it for sure. But I also understand where you mock us for it. It's kind of
I'm so list season probably in the middle. I would say mock draft, as silly as they are. At least you're talking about players, and you can get educated about players at least. Yeah, but the schedule, like I said, there's going to be, the most obvious issue is injuries, which you don't know who's going to play on December 13th against Indianapolis, but that's a win.
Yeah.
That's a win. So, it is what it is, and I mean, I guess the way people talk so confidently about it, like, oh, that's, and, I mean, that's what the NFL is built on, parity and upsets. So, I mean, you start right off the bat, Washington at home at Tennessee. That looks pretty nice, like a pretty nice soft launch for Sean Mannion's new offense.
Yeah.
Tell me those teams can't beat, this is the NFL. This is not Alabama scheduling Wofford.
I said that last night. Like, any team can beat you. You know what I mean? It always has to go to at least what your projection of them to be is. What's funny, John, is we do a lot of talk about the offense, but when something like this happens, like the schedule came out yesterday, and I was talking with some people in the chat last night after you were on, and my entire projection comes down to the defense. Like, I think the offense matters. That's not what I'm saying. But when I do, like, for example, wins and loss, which you think is the stupidest thing on planet Earth, when I do that, it's more about the defense. In other words, if the defense is top 8, like we're projecting, okay, then I think they'll win 10, 11, 12 games. If the defense is not, well, then obviously any of these games can go. The offense almost doesn't even enter my realm because they won 11 games last year with a shit offense.
No, I think it's fair to point to the foundation of this team is now defense. I think it was a tough road to drag people to that conclusion, but they finally reached there. I mean, this will be the third consecutive year where the defense is better than the offense. dating back to the Super Bowl season. People, when Jeremy Fowler put out his most recent thing, which is basically, you can tell Jeremy does things the same way I do. He goes and does radio or streaming or whatever. And hey, that's a good idea. I'll write about that. And I do that a lot as well. So, and he wrote about Jalen Hurts, and that got a lot of, because he got an AFC executive who talked about, potentially being another poor season, another season. It's 2 consecutive seasons where you've had a bottom third pass. Think about that. Bottom third passing offense. I think people forget that because of the Super Bowl. It stunk that year too.
Yeah.
Comparatively speaking. This would be the 3rd consecutive year if it happens again. And so, yeah, I mean, that's how
I think the difference though with 24 is they actually didn't need them to do it. It'd be one like last year. Last year they needed the passing game to pick up, and it didn't. That's why it was so much more concerning to me than 24. Now, obviously,
well, that's fair. I mean, because of the but the problems last year with the offense were not the passing offense getting worse. It was the rushing offense getting worse, and the passing offense unable to pick it up. You can argue that, but the point is that was constant, pretty much, slightly better from a volume standpoint, not from an effectiveness standpoint. But again, that had to do with the running game, and setting up the passing game in good situations versus setting up the passing game in bad situations. That's what that was about. But if you're just talking about the passing offense, and that's what people are talking about with Jalen Hurts, it's been bad for a long time. And if it's bad for another year, if it's bad for 3 consecutive years with the talent on hand, and now you don't have A.J. Brown. So it's like a lot of this, when I talked about the AJ trade and all that, I said a lot of this is coming from outside the organization. This is what same thing with Jeremy here. This is what people around the league see and think. It's not coming from the Eagles. It's coming, and he cited the AFC personnel exec. It's because that's the natural flow of the NFL. You have 3 consecutive bad seasons. They're going to look to pivot.
Right.
So anyway, quick tangent, but
would that be considered the report? You were joking. You were messing with me earlier this week when I was calling Jeremy Fowler's other stuff a report. You were like, you just said it on a talk show.
Well, it wasn't a report.
But would you consider this a report? Like this is
yes.
A report, right?
He cited his sources. Yeah. This is before it wasn't. I mean, when you say something, it could be dating back to his first piece. Now that he put it on, not paper, but digital
paper,
digital paper. He cited an AFC personnel exec and somebody else, I forget, but so yeah, that's a report. But that's sort of the thinking of the NFL. Like if you ask other people, yeah, you have 3rd consecutive years, especially under these expectations. What would your thought process be? Well, they're going to try to pivot. So it's a big year for Jalen Hurts. It's fair to say that.
Yeah, I think logically that makes a whole lot of sense. John, one part of that excerpt in Jeremy Fowler's report that I wanted to ask you about. It says here, and I'll read to you. I quote. Hurts has $22 million in 2027 guarantees. The team would take a $2.9 million cap hit if he's traded before June 1, but would save $21.4 million on that year's cap if he's dealt after June 1st. And then there's a quote. It says, the guarantees make it like a Kyler Murray situation where Philly would have to pay to facilitate a trade, another AFC executive said. What exactly does that mean?
Well, the Vikings are paying Kyler Murray, I think $1.3 million to play quarterback for them, and Arizona's paying the rest. He makes a lot of money. That's what he's talking. Yeah, I mean,
but I thought Jalen. So would they mean the rest of the guarantees there? Because there's only $22 million of guarantees.
Well, from the standpoint of actual money. yeah, the actual money's not. It's probably a bad comp for that, but the dead money, I think after this season, I'd have to look it up. I'm trying to put it up real quick, but it's still pretty significant. So as you're talking about with the void years, that's the give and take of the void years.
Yeah, right.
You know, yeah. So after this, it's 139 million of dead money if they wanted to move on right now. Hint, they're not moving on. 67 of dead money next year if they wanted to move on. So, that's significant from the cap standpoint. The guarantees are not that significant. That's the problem. That the contract is not an issue. And by that I mean he's not playing under the current contract next year no matter what. He's not playing with
it's either an
million.
extension or they're gonna,
to me, that's like
deal.
To me, that part of it's white noise. But if you want to move on, and the most likely scenario is, post June 1st, if you can do it, because you can split that dead money over 2 years instead of 1 year. So, but you're still talking, just like AJ this year, you're still talking about the same 67 million. It's just how you bookkeep it.
Yeah, right.
So that's the bigger issue.
So we got Jalen Hurts is next year's AJ.
Here and what I wrote about it on Sports Illustrated, because the contract to me is not the issue, but what the Eagles' history matters here, and what by that I mean, like, they're proactive when they want to be. Jalen's first extension is an example of that.
Right.
They made him the highest paid player for, granted, 10 days in the history of football. The highest paid player in the history of football. You see that they're paying for the AJ proactive extension right now, not from a performance standpoint, but he wants out, and they didn't have to extend him when they had to extend him, but they were proactive, partially to keep him happy, ironically, because they had to pay Devontae. And then think about Saquon after the big season. They didn't have to extend him. They did as sort of a thank you for the big season. And that's biting them in the ass. But my larger point is their demonstrated history is their demonstrated history. If they believe in you, they're going to be proactive. So what does that tell you right now? That they're not being proactive, and they want to see what happens this year. Actions speak louder than words, or in this case, lack of action. So I mean, they're saying, let's see how he handles the new stuff, and we'll take it from there. And by the way, if he does well, which everybody should be rooting for, obviously, as an Eagles fan, if you are, then they're going to have to pay the Dallas Cowboys tax. They're going to have to pay more. But it's a give and take, and that's where they are. They need to see it.
Yeah. I'm going to read your article after the show. I didn't see it come out. Normally, I always catch those articles. But, I did read the Fowler piece. I sent you. I don't understand why they always put things on Africa.espn. I don't know why it doesn't show up. And then I search it, and it shows up Africa.espn. I'm like, okay. So, I don't know. Maybe it's
the time zone. The time zone's probably earlier. Yeah, it's earlier over there. So,
yeah, well, I don't know. All right, so I did read that. All right, Jama, what's your general thought on the schedule before we do some wins and losses? Just kind of, what you thought of the schedule as a whole for the Birds. My take, I'll muddy the question a little bit, is just I don't think it looks all that bad. I mean, they have multiple instances of multiple home games. They have a 3-game homestand very late in the season. They have the bye week right smack in the middle in week 10. No bye week coming off of London, which is, a little tough. But Jeff Kerr said something to me last night. He joined me, John, after you, and he said this to me. I said I'd have to ask you about it. Jeff said to me, teams in the NFL have an option to choose the bye week after their international game. So, in other words, the Eagles were offered to take a bye week in week 6 And Jeff was under the impression that they denied taking it in week 6, and then they got dealt week 10.
Yeah, I've heard that same thing. I'm not sure if it's true. The NFL changes so quickly.
Yeah.
But there are a lack of. I noticed the international. There's 9 international games. There's very few buys after the international. It used to be a thing, like a common thing. I've read that in multiple places, so I assume it's true. I can't say for 100%, because I haven't checked it out with the NFL yet. Interesting, like the London trips from when they started. I remember when they started, teams would go over really early. Sometimes if they, sometimes they'd have nobody knew how to handle it. Sometimes they had a bye week before so they can go over. And there were two parts to that. They wanted to introduce the game, so they wanted the teams over there to practice over there, to do all that stuff.
Right.
So it was a lot different. Now, since teams have started to realize the common sense aspect, well, if you're going from Philadelphia to Los Angeles, 5.5 hours, depending, whatever. If you're going from Philadelphia to London, it's 6 hours. I mean, it's the same trip essentially. Different shifting time zones either way, but you're going earlier, the bar is going later, so they're slightly different, but it's almost the same as far as travel time. And nobody likes going to Los Angeles either, but from a travel perspective. But it's not all that much different. So I think the London games specifically have become more normalized and are more like a normal road trip. Other than
what's the time difference? I guess that's the biggest difference. It's like 5 hours, right? 6 hours.
I think it's 6, but people. So they start those games at 9:30, 10:30, 11:30. I think it's 6. But somebody can fact check me on that. And the flight's about 6 hours. So it's more of a normalized road trip now than opposed to, say, Brazil when they went down there, which that was just a logistical nightmare from the people that did go down there. So, it's a little bit different. Obviously, Mexico City's not as bad. From a travel standpoint. Who's playing in Mexico City? 49ers and Vikings are playing in Mexico City, so that one's not as bad. But yeah, I think the London trips have become more normalized.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's the time zone that it is. I think it's 5 hours, John, but I don't know if it switches daylight saving. Who knows? I can't follow it all, but we'll kind of keep you updated on that when we get closer, everybody. But yeah, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I do remember that when I went to Arizona a couple of weeks ago, I was like, "Oh shit, 3 hours back, I can't sleep," and then you got to get up in the morning. You're like, "Whoa," that the time zone can sneak up on you a little bit. Even just 3 hours for me there was snuck up on me. So. That's part of it too, but we'll see. All right, John, we got some super chats we'll get to today. One other thing on the schedule, I'm just going to pull it up on the screen right now too, so that everybody can see it. All right, we'll pull this up, and I'll make Johnny Mac and I a little beggar here with the schedule on the screen. Jeff pointed this out to me too, John. He pointed out, and I have to remember the 4 teams, but 4 of the teams that the Eagles are playing this year are coming off a bye week. So you have the Panthers game, which is interesting because that's when the Eagles come back from London. So the Eagles come back from London. The Panthers come
that's a trap game. I said that last night.
Yeah, that's a trap game. And then I believe it's Washington in week 8. I think their bye is week 7. And is the Cowboys bye week 6? That would make sense.
I think it's the ones I have are Panthers, Commanders week 8, Giants week 9, and Colts week 14.
Yeah, that's it. So it's Commanders and Giants, not Cowboys and Commanders. It's Commanders and Giants, and then it's Colts. So those 4 teams are coming off a bye week for the Birds. You think that means anything?
No. I mean, a little bit, but I'm not going to. you know, okay. It's the Panthers, the Commanders, the Giants, and the Colts. Colts are, I think, a better team than people realize, but it's not exactly murderer's row in the NFL. It's not like, some of the better teams projected to be on your schedule. So I got a hard time using that as an excuse. But I mean, I think the bigger issue with the Eagles and all high profile teams are just the nuttiness of the schedule. You're playing Monday, you're playing Thursday, you're playing Saturday. Obviously, you're playing Sunday. They have two Thursday games, I believe.
Yeah,
they have two Monday night. They have 2 Monday night games. People talk. They have five primetime games. They've actually fallen behind the Packers now. So
yeah, but I feel like they have more than that because I don't know.
They do. They're the national. They're in the 425 window. I think week 1 they're in 425. Pittsburgh coming off the bye, they're at 425.
They have four of them, and then they have the 5 o'clock Saturday. Is that prime time? I don't know if that's prime time.
That doesn't count as prime time.
But
it's absurd. That's, I think, the bigger problem with the Eagles. But that no different than the Cowboys, no different from the Chiefs, no different from the Packers, the really, really high profile teams that are always playing in these wonky windows. That to me is the biggest issue. But they've been dealing with that for years. Since the turn of the century, they're now third, so they've fallen a clip. But remember, you still have flex scheduling to go. So since 2000, so we're talking over a quarter of a century, it's Dallas, obviously, number 1, Green Bay, number 2, Philadelphia, number 3, and the Eagles are 1 behind the Packers. So they were ahead. Now they're 1 behind the Packers. And so they've been dealing with that for a very long time. But for those who say, what does Nick Sirianni do? You got all these, football's creatures of habit. That's why everybody likes Sunday at 1 o'clock, and they have 4 1 o'clock games scheduled. And
rhythm and consistency. They don't have a lot of that this year.
No. So you have, it starts September 20th. You play Tennessee. That's a normal 1 o'clock game. And then you play Monday night against Chicago. Then you come back on a short week against the Rams, which, by the way, that's a 1 o'clock game against the Los Angeles Rams. That's the strangest part of this schedule. I would have bet the house that was some kind of either late afternoon window.
How did that happen, by the way?
Yeah, that is bizarre. Then you're going to London. Then you're coming back from London. Then you have another extra day. Monday night, the Cowboys. Then you got a short week because you play Monday night. Then you're Sunday night. It goes from Monday night to Sunday night. It doesn't even go from Monday night to Sunday afternoon. And then your Sunday afternoon, you have a bye. You come off the bye. You have Pittsburgh. Then you're playing on Thanksgiving. So you got another wonky week. And then you got to come back Sunday. That's nice. Then you got a Saturday game. Then you got another Thursday night game late in the season. And so you're all wonky to finish the season. That to me is the biggest issue. And people, extra time, less time, doesn't matter. What you want is continuity. You want the same thing. Football is, and you hear coaches will literally talk. Like when Nick Sirianni comes in for his Wednesday press conference, even if it's Thursday, because he's playing on Monday night, he'll act like it's Wednesday and not even act like it. He's just, in his world, it's Wednesday. They all make the same mistake. We say, what's it? You want to practice? You got your big practice on Wednesday. You got your practice on Thursday. You got your shorter practice on Friday with red zone 2-minute and all that stuff. You got walkthrough on Saturday. You play Sunday 1 o'clock. That's what everybody wants.
Right.
Eagles never have that, basically.
No. But, John, I'll use what you tell me. Good teams overcome these problems.
Well, of course.
So,
yeah. So, but that to me is the biggest issue. The schedule, I think, is. I'll tell you what. For a first place schedule, I told you this before the show started. This is as easy as it's going to get. And by that I mean because of what happened. So think about it. You're talking about, so for those who don't know how the NFL schedule works, it's a formulaic thing. And the minute the regular season is over, who you're going to play as far as opponents. You just don't know the times. And that's why I call it logistics day. You just plug it in. So when you talk about, you play one division in the NFC, one division in the AFC, and that rotates year for year. Plus you have now it's down to basically 3 sort of games that are built on where you finished in your division. And the Eagles finished first, so they have to play the first place team in the NFC North, which is the Chicago Bears, the first place team in the NFC South, which is the Carolina Panthers, and the first place team in the AFC North, which is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Think about that. The Cowboys finished in second place. Here's who they have to play: the Green Bay Packers, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Baltimore Ravens.
Wow.
The Commanders finished in third place. Here's who they have to play: the Minnesota Vikings, the Atlanta Falcons, and the Cincinnati Bengals. Potentially with Joe Burrow, if he's healthy. And the Giants are fourth place. And even they have to play the Lions.
Wow, so Eagles get a nice break there, John.
Oh, yeah. I would argue the Cowboys and Commanders got a tougher draw than the Eagles in those 3 sort of games based on the division. Because guess what? The Bears won the division. Great. You know why I'm picking the Lions to win that division this year? Because they finished in fourth place, just like the Bears last year. The Panthers, look, I think the Bucs are better. I think the Falcons are better. I think the Saints are better. The Steelers, they're going to be the same if Aaron plays. But again, if you look at Baltimore, and everybody's so high on Jesse Minter, and the Bengals, obviously their issues were related to not having the quarterback. And if they have the quarterback, you can make a strong argument that both the Ravens and Bengals are better than the Steelers.
Am I missing something on Jesse Minter? What's up with the hype on this guy?
Yeah, Mike McDonald. He's the next Mike McDonald.
Yeah, everybody's the next everybody. I mean,
exactly.
Holy shit. I like what I'll go to Jalen Hurts. I actually saw an interview of him. I forget where the heck did I see this? Somebody was asking Jalen Hurts some questions, and they asked him about an upcoming young player that he had his eye on, and he shouted out his cousin. And the interviewer said, "Is he the next Jalen Hurts?" And he said, "No, he's the first," and then said his name. I'm like, I like that. I mean, why does everybody want to make everybody into somebody else?
Oh, I know.
Drives me crazy.
That's another thing. Yeah, the comp game. Because, generally, and smart people, when they comp players, they're comping traits. They're comping traits, not, that's why I don't like bringing up Hall of Famers. This guy reminds me, with rookies. But you're just talking about traits, but people run with the baton. But yeah, I think this schedule's pretty good for the Eagles, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. We'll get to our super chats now. By the way, the cousin of Jalen Hurts that he was talking about, Davion Vanderbilt. That's right. I saw it on CBS. They were doing this or that, and they asked him about that. So good stuff there. Let's go to some super chats here. Here's Alexander Harris. What's up, my friend? Appreciate you being here this morning. He says this, $20 super chat. Thank you, my man. by the bye week, if we can click on offense, I can see us easily being 7-2. I can see us losing to the Rams, and we seem to always split with Dallas. Well, that's true. 7-2, I don't think is that crazy.
Well,
I mean, we're about to do our wins and losses, so you'll see what we built, what we both have.
That's a win, Alexander. What's he got? 7-2. You got him 7-2 at the bottom.
7-2 pre-bye week for Alexander Harris. You like it, Rich? Too much? Too little? Are you waiting? You're making this
I'm going to go through them as we go through them. I'm guessing it's a little bit too rich, especially with the new offense. I think that's another thing I like about the schedule is that maybe the two best defenses in the NFL are late and not early, and that's Seattle and Houston. And maybe you could figure some things out by then, as opposed, like they always start with division, usually week 1. But say you got Seattle and Houston back-to-back week 2 and week 3 instead of where they are in December. Yeah, that would be ugly, I think. So a lot of things I like about this schedule, but there's probably going to be a game early that they're going to lose just because the offense is, trying to feel its way. I would be my guess. But the easiest part of their schedule is definitely early, just from a team standpoint, because you got Seattle, Houston, San Francisco, and even Indy that late, plus at Dallas. Instead of Dallas being here, it's definitely, they got to make some hay early, definitely.
No doubt about it. Good stuff. Harris, thanks for the super chat. We got one more super chat. 2 big super chats today. Thank you, guys. Suplex City. What's up, Suplex? Good to see you, my guy. He says this. Big Z, when JAKIB buys an NFL team, we're going to need a couple more of these supers, my friend. Brian Johnson has to be your OC. I'll make him my OC. In John's voice.
You could do worse. You could do worse.
Yeah. In John's voice, what are we doing? The Saints signed Brock Rechsteiner. So now Moore has a 33 1/3 chance of winning the division.
Nah, he's doing Steiner math, the famous Steiner math. Yeah, they all play football and then they go into wrestling. I'm sure he's already said he's going to go into wrestling when his football career is done. Bronson Rechsteiner also played football in college and now is a big star and is. Let's see, who's he? Scott is his uncle. Scott is the famous math promo. Look it up on YouTube. It is great. And Rick is the father of Braun Breaker for wrestling fans.
There you go. Good stuff. Suplex, thank you, brother. When I buy the NFL team, God willing, one day, I doubt that, but one day, Brian Johnson, if he's still around, I will listen to your super.
Well, he's working for Sean McVay, so he'll probably be.
Yeah, right. I'm happy for him, man. I think he deserves another shot. I really do, John. Yeah. I really do.
I mean, you got to wait your turn. Like Nate Shieldhouse is next in line, I would think.
Yeah.
But with McVay, it's just a matter of time. Yeah, he's the next McVay.
Yeah. I think he deserves another opportunity, but that's just me. Good stuff. Appreciate all you guys doing it. All right, we're going through into the it's a win, it's a loss, it's a win, it's a loss. Coming up right now here on Birds 365. I want to thank everybody.
Yeah. What did Jeff put him at? 15-2?
I don't know. Jeff he didn't give me the full it's a win, it's a loss last night, but he gave me some thoughts on the schedule. He had him winning pretty good before the bye week. I think he had him 6-3 before the bye week, or 7-2 maybe. Forget where I think 6-3 he had.
Yeah, they definitely gotta build some equity up early, I would say.
Yeah,
but there's some tough games. I mean, that stretch. I just down talk Chicago. Not that they're a bad team. I just think the Packers are better. I think the lines are better. They're probably better than the Vikings, but I think. But the Packers probably aren't going to have Micah early, I would think, considering he got hurt so late. So you never know. But I'm picking the Lions to win that division because they finished in last and they got the easy schedule. just like the Bears took advantage of last year. Easier schedule.
All right. Well, I'm going to do it's a win, it's a loss. Let me make a little column here so that we can follow this properly.
Yeah, make sure you follow because I didn't. I got to do the math.
All right, week 3. All right, week 4. All right, here we go. Week 5. All right, beautiful. All right, John, let's start it up. Week 1. By the way, real quick before we get into it, week 1, I just want to remind everybody that is an awesome hand when it comes to the JAKIB home opener game that we have. So we get 425, perfect, right in the middle of the day, not the night game, not the early game. So perfect for the JAKIB game, the JAKIB tailgate that will go on right before that game. You get a divisional opponent at home on a Sunday in September. I thought it was going to be Monday. I heard some things that it could be, a weekday. So I thought that was a great hand for week 1, especially for all those attending the JAKIB tailgate. I'm looking forward to doing that. All right, so week 1, John, they are Washington at home, and you have them doing what in that game, my friend?
That's a win.
That's a W.
And I'm going to say that for Mike Francesa once, and I'm going back to that like a
normal person.
But Washington, yeah, I mean they're a rebuilding team. They got sucked into the. I don't want to blame. They went too far in 2024. They had the big upset of Detroit because 90 defenders were injured, and they bought into it. And I remember saying before the NFC chat, they're not ready for this game. And sure enough, the Eagles blew them off the field, but they bought into it that they were close. They signed a bunch of veteran players. The quarterback got hurt. They're just not that close. They're not that good. Obviously, Jaden Daniels being healthy will help them until he gets hurt again. But yeah, you got to win that game at home.
I'm with you, Johnny Mac. I got a win there for the Birds. I think the Birds win the game, but I actually think it's a decent spot for the Commanders to get the Eagles in week 1 because, like you always say, those early games are, they kind of take on their own personalities. They're a little weird. September, I like what Cilio calls it. He calls it Liars Month because, it's almost like a pseudo preseason nowadays. So I think that's a good thing for the Commanders just from that perspective because I don't think they're as good of a team, and maybe they don't know it yet. They think they're probably going back to the NFC title game. Who knows? So I think it's good from their perspective for that. But overall, I got the Birds winning that one. All right.
Yeah, I've thought that for years. But you want to, if you can, you want to play bad teams late because they've given up, and they all have hope. But so you're right from that standpoint. It's a little bit more difficult, but. And the defense has got to, it's got to carry the Eagles early, I would say, as they figure out things on offense.
All right, fair enough. Good stuff here. All right, week 2, Johnny Mac, they are at Tennessee on the road, a 1 p.m. game in Tennessee. What do you think there?
I think Nashville's a pretty cool city, so for people who want to travel, go to this game because you're going to get a win and you're going to get to see Nashville. So that's, they'll get better because Robert Saleh's there. I think he knows what he's doing, but I'm not a big fan of Cam Ward. Didn't think he was a real number 1 overall pick. I think you've seen that. Not that he can't be a good quarterback and hopefully he develops, but long way to go in Tennessee.
I agree. And I got a win there as well. So Johnny Mac and Big Z, both at 2-0 to start the year right now. Good stuff for the Eagles. All right, that's a win. Week 3, John, at Chicago. It's a Monday night football matchup in the Windy City. I think this was a win or a good spot for the Eagles to get Chicago in September. I even heard Jordan Davis saying on the little video they released, get the Windy City out of the way.
Yeah, by the way, can I rep the Eagles real quick?
Yeah, you can rep it.
Their schedule release game is so far behind everybody else.
Yeah, it's horrible.
I mean, some of these, the Chargers and the Titans are just on another level. They don't win anything else, so it's their Super Bowl. But they call it the Super Bowl of social media. Come on, Eagles. You got to up your game. You're getting lapped. The Colts did a nice Simpsons thing. The Raiders did a Step Brothers thing with Kirk Cousins and Fernando Mendoza. A lot of creative stuff out there. Eagles got 5 guys talking around the table. Come on.
John of all people wants to see a more entertaining skit from the Philadelphia Eagles. All right, week 3 Chicago. What do you got?
Yeah, I think the Eagles are going to be feeling themselves, and even though I just ripped Chicago, I think the Bears win this game. Good defense, and Caleb will make a couple plays, pull a couple plays out of his ass, as he usually does, and that's going to be the first loss of the season for the Philadelphia Eagles.
All right, I'm going win there. I think Chicago comes back to earth in a big way this year. I think they're going to struggle without their center who retired this year, Drew Dahlman, who really brought that.
Garrett Bradbury.
That's true. But I think that team's going to get beat up by the Philadelphia Eagles. Remember, John, Eagles got revenge on their mind, I think, on that one. Now, maybe that doesn't mean anything, but the Chicago Bears beat the Philadelphia Eagles like they were a rag doll in Philadelphia last year. I think the Eagles are going to remember that.
I think the softness of the Tennessee Titans is going to hurt the Eagles. They're going to think they're a little bit better than they are and get surprised by the Chicago Bears again. But, yeah, you're right. I mean, Jalen Carter probably has nightmares about getting washed down by Darnell Wright, so hopefully they can correct that. But, yeah, I don't like the spot. It's more about the spot for me than anything else.
All right, week 4, John. Rams in Philly, a 1 p.m. I don't know what's up with them putting the Eagles and the Rams.
That is shocking. That is the most shocking thing of this schedule. Literally.
Did you do that last year too, John?
I believe so. Yeah, it was.
I don't understand. It's like this is like the matchup of the NFC. They keep putting it at 1. It doesn't make sense to me.
It's weird. Yeah, the Rams are better. The Rams are finally going to beat the Eagles. Even though it's here. They should have beat them last year here.
So you got an L.
Got an L. 2-2.
Nice, got an L.
And the sky will be falling, going to London.
All right, come on. The sky's not falling if they're 2-2.
Oh, 2-2? Are you kidding me? The sky is falling.
Yeah, that's right. Jeffrey Lurie was fired, Nick, last time they were 2-2. I forgot about that.
The sky is falling. I'm not talking in the building. I'm talking about.
I don't know. Remember that report that Jeff McClain put out? Nick Sirianni was almost canned at the bye week in 2024.
Yeah, I never got that confirmed. I'm not saying it's not true, but I don't think they were going to fire him. But you never know. But I'm talking more of WIP and blah blah blah. They're going to be. Yeah. The sky's going to be falling. All
right, for the LA Rams. It's a loss. That's going to be my first loss of the year. I know everybody, oh my God, you're going to beat the Reds. Guys, they're not going 17-0. All right, they're not going 17-0 here. I have them losing to the Rams. I think the Rams finally get the better of them, especially after that game last year where the Eagles won on the blocked field goal. And I don't think it's a bad thing. I just think two great teams hashing it out. I think the Rams get the better of them this time around. I got the Eagles 3-1 heading to London, which brings us to week 5, John McMullen. At Jacksonville, which is really in London, not at Jacksonville, but the Eagles are the road team. It's a 9:30 a.m. Eastern time matchup. Johnny Mac, who do you got in week 5 at Jacksonville?
Yeah, a tougher team than I think people realize because they've been bad for so long. But I do think the Eagles bounce back and win. Even though it's a Jacksonville home game and they go there every year. I think Eagles fans will take over Tottenham, so it'll be more of an Eagles home game. And it'll be a good game because, like I said, they're a good team, good defense. Trevor Lawrence got his hair cut. But I think the Eagles find a way to scratch and claw it out and stem some of the panic from 2 consecutive losses.
All right, there you go. So that's a win for Johnny Mac in London for the Eagles. I also have a win there. So John's got him at 3-2 through 5. I got him at 4-1. John, week 6, Carolina comes to town. The Eagles come home from London, and they have a 1 p.m.er on Sunday with the Carolina Panthers. I think I know where you're going with this after your comment on the Panthers earlier.
This is my trap game. This is my trap game. Obviously, the Eagles are the better team. Not a big fan of Carolina. Won the division with, I think, an 8-9 record. But there's upsets all the time in the NFL. And I think it's in their head. You talk about that schedule release thing. They're talking about coming up. I forget, it might have been one of them was talking about coming back from London. I think Saquon was brushing it off, so good for him. But one of them was talking about it. So it's already in some people's heads. I think it's a big upset, and then the panic sets back in. But the good news, the NFC East is coming.
So you have them losing to Carolina?
Yep.
If that happens and they're 3-3 after Carolina, Sean Mannion, buckle your seatbelt, my friend. They'll be coming for your head in the city of brotherly love. All right. I'm taking a win here for the Birds. I don't think the Panthers are beating us. Sorry, John. Can't do it. I just can't do it. All right. I might end up fucking.
Gotta pick one upset. Gotta pick one upset.
I know. I have an idea for an upset in that. Let me tell you something. The Eagles fans aren't going to like it, but that's all right. John, week 7, Dallas comes to Philly. It's a Monday night football matchup, so the Eagles will be on 8 days. They'll have 8 days there, a little extra day for them. Monday night football in Philadelphia. Dallas comes to Philly. Who do you like in that matchup?
Like I said, the panic will be at full bore with the Dallas Cowboys coming in on Monday night, but the NFC East is going to make everything well, and it starts with Dallas. They are going to split, so that hints later, but Lincoln Financial Field, Eagles beat the Cowboys. Everything's right in the world. Back above 500.
So Johnny Mac's got a win, and they're back above 500 at 4-3 through week 7. Close your ears, baby ears. I have the Philadelphia Eagles losing to the
Whoa. That's worse than Carolina, I think. Not the Cowboys are a better team, but
the Cowboys are really good in the NFC East. They always play the NFC East well. I think their defense is much better this year. Their offense is going to be pretty good. I think they're kind of a team that plays to they have a good setup for.
I'm going to guess you're going to soften this by saying the Eagles win on Thanksgiving. That's my guess.
All right, we'll see. Here we got week 8, Johnny Mac. Week 8 at Washington. So we're getting both the Washington games out of the way before
get Northwest Stadium out of the way.
Yeah,
like
week
it.
8:20. It's a Sunday night football matchup. Who do you got there?
Yeah, the Eagles sweep. As I said, I just don't think Washington's very good. You always have to worry about Jaden Daniels making plays, but the NFC East comes to the rescue with this schedule at this point of the season, and the Eagles win and take over Washington as they usually do.
All right, so you got them beating. You got them sweeping the Commanders this year.
Correct.
All right, good stuff there. All right, so Johnny Mac's got him at what? He's got him at 1, 2, 3,
5-3.
5-3 through 8. I have them at 6-2 because I have a win there as well for the Philadelphia Eagles. I think they sweep Washington this year. Then you go the last game before the bye week, week 9. The New York Football Giants come to town. It's a 1 p.m. matchup in Philadelphia. Johnny Mac, what say you on week 9?
It's pretty sad that you have Philadelphia. We talk about all the primetime games and all that, and you talk about Philadelphia and the Giants, and it's a 1:00 game. And you go, yeah, it should be a 1:00 game. It has been for a decade or so. It should be. It's when they put it on Thursday night or Sunday night, it's a waste of time because the Eagles will blow the Giants out. They'll do it again. All the Knicks fans who take over the Exmo Arena, all the New York fans, I don't think they're taking over Lincoln Financial Field. Like I said, the NFC East to the rescue. All of a sudden, you're 6-3, and everything is copacetic in the world.
Everything is peaches and cream, baby, heading into the bye week. I have a win there as well, Johnny Mac, which means for me, They're heading into the bye week at 7-2. You have them heading into the bye week at 6-3 with your losses to the Chicago Bears, the LA Rams, and the Carolina Panthers. My losses were to the LA Rams and to the Dallas Cowboys at home. Going into week 10, John, it's the bye week. There is no pick for the bye week, obviously, in week 10. We move to week 11 at home. The Pittsburgh Steelers, the Battle of Pennsylvania. The Pittsburgh Steelers come to town for a 4:25 game in Philly. Who do you like there with the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Eagles?
Well, the Steelers never win in Philadelphia. They rarely play here, but it's been, I don't know, since the 60s, I think. So, Josh Shapiro doesn't have to pick, even though he picked the Eagles. But the Eagles will win the game. They always beat Pittsburgh in Philadelphia.
All right, so you got them winning that game. Pittsburgh, I have them winning that game as well. So at this point, whether you're following John or you're following me, it's a pretty good season. They're at 7-3 for J Mac, and they are at 8-2 for me going into week 12, which is that awesome Thanksgiving Day game. Great Thanksgiving slate this year, Johnny Mac. 3 great games on Thanksgiving. And then you have Thanksgiving
Eve. They're playing on Thanksgiving Eve as well. Stupid NFL.
Great. They've got Packers and Rams on Thanksgiving. It's a good game on Thanksgiving Eve. That's what they're doing, John. And because they're oversaturating now, so they're just giving banging matchups, so we have to watch it.
Yeah, but it's the same 5 teams. What if one of them gets a key injury, and then you're stuck watching a bullshit team?
Well, it could happen. That's the part of the NFL, is it not?
Yeah. And they have flex scheduling, so they can move, but not Wednesday. You're not going to be able to move a Wednesday game. But yeah, it's a tough spot for the Eagles. Obviously, short week, Thanksgiving Day, Dallas. They struggle in Dallas when Dallas is good. I project Dallas to be a good team, not a great team. The Eagles have done well on Thanksgiving, though. They're like 6-1 on Thanksgiving, I believe, all time. But make it 6-2. The Cowboys are not going to get swept, and they win this football game.
All right, good stuff there. So John has the Eagles win, or no, you have them losing on
losing.
All right, I also have them losing here.
Oh, you got them getting swept by the that. Yeah,
I have them getting swept
upset at Zander Krause. Send your hate mail to Zander Krause.
The Cowboys. Everybody's going to overreact, but the Cowboys are probably going to have a pretty good regular season this year. They're going to get to the postseason, and they're going to royally shit the bed like they always do. That's my projection. It has nothing to do with that. Oh, the Cowboys are bad. No, the Eagles will be playing.
You're probably going to have the Cowboys winning the NFC East if you got to beat the Cowboys.
Yeah, well, that could be true, but we could see. We'll see how that goes. All right, week 13, Johnny Mac, Arizona on the road in Arizona. Who do you got here?
Yeah, that should be an easy one, even though it's a road game. And believe me, the Eagles fans will take over Arizona. So that'll be like a home game on the road for them. Easy, one of the easiest games on the schedule. Yeah, ironically, I think the 2 easiest games on the schedule are both on the road, and that's Tennessee and Arizona.
Tennessee. All right, so you have a win there for the Birds?
Yeah.
All right, I got a win there as well for the Eagles and Cardinals. Week 14, John, Indy comes to Philadelphia, a 1 p.m. matchup. I think this is a good part of the schedule. It's a tough part of the schedule. You got Indy, then you have Seahawks, then you have the Texans, then you have the 49ers. 4 good games back to back there. Who do you have? Indy coming to Philly, J-Mac?
I do have the Eagles winning. I do think Indianapolis is a little bit better than people expect, but you got to see what Daniel Jones is from a health perspective. We should have a good indication by December 13th. But I do think the Eagles will be able to get it done against the Indianapolis Colts.
All right, so a win for the Eagles and versus Indianapolis Colts. I also have a win there versus Indy. I think Nick Sirianni gets the better of Shane Steichen in that matchup. Week 15, I have a feeling on where John's going here, but I will not. say that until I hear what he thinks. Seattle comes to Philly. Saturday matchup, Johnny Mac, before Christmas.
Saturday, 5:00 matchup on Fox.
All right. Well,
in case you forget that one. Yeah, the Super Bowl champions, the best defense in the NFL, got to default to them at this stage. And they hold serve the Seattle Seahawks.
All right, so the Seahawks win that game. You got the Eagles losing?
Yeah.
All right, I got the Eagles actually winning that game. I think the Eagles finally beat the Seahawks. They struggle normally versus the Seattle Seahawks. I think the Birds get it done this year at home versus the Sammy Darnold-led Seahawks. I got the Birds winning that football game. All right, John, Week 16, Houston.
Thursday.
Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve. So we're going to be working till like 2 a.m. going into Christmas morning.
Nice.
That's lovely.
Thanks, Roger Goodell.
Lovely. Awesome. Houston, who do you got, John?
Yeah, I think the Eagles got to win one of these two games. So it doesn't really matter which one, but I think they're going to get it against Houston. Again, these might be the two top defenses in the NFL, and maybe the only two defenses I would project better than the Eagles. And Houston, probably from a talent perspective, is number one. But, CJ Stroud coming off that epically poor performance in the playoffs. But more than that, because he can have a bad game. Everybody has bad games. But I think consistently he's taken a step back. So I think they're the easier team to deal with. But it won't be easy. But they're also the ones that have to come from Houston on a short week. I remember the Eagles going down there on a short week when the Texans weren't as good, and they kind of struggled, but they won the game. It was during the World Series as well. And they won the game and were able to persevere. I don't think Houston does it on the short week, and that's the one of these two games they have to win. I think they get against Houston.
All right, so they're going to win versus Houston for Johnny Mac. I also have them beating Houston. All right, so I got a pretty strong record right now, folks. I only have 3 losses on mine. Johnny Mac has 5 losses at this point, heading into the final 2 games of the year. John, they travel. They get on the road here, and they go to San Francisco. I think an underrated team this year right now by what I'm reading coming into the year. I think the toughest part here for San Francisco is how many injuries do they have at this point? They are an older roster. I don't know if they hold up, but Week 17 at San Francisco, John, who do you like here?
I'm picking the 49ers, even though I think the Eagles are the better team, similar to the playoffs. Obviously, it's on the road. I don't like having to close the season with 2 consecutive games on the road. I don't think you're going to get them both, but I do think in Week 18 might not even matter with the Giants. Certainly won't for the Giants, but yeah, I think San Francisco finds a way. And the Eagles' constant signaling of Kyle Shanahan's better than we are, I don't like. So he's in their head to begin with. So I'm picking the Niners.
Picking the Niners. So the Niners get the win for the Birds. Johnny Mac, I also have the Niners winning that football game. I think the Niners are a pretty good team this year. I think they beat the Eagles there. Week 18, John, to wrap up the year. There's no time on this game yet or date. Maybe we'll get dealt to 1 p.m. and it'll be a battle of the
backups. That's the good news. It's going to be 1 p.m. So that's
battle of the backups.
Very, very good news could be the annual Tanner McKee game. For the New York Giants against the New York Giants. Yeah, I'm picking the Eagles. They're a better team.
So you got them.
They might lose if they got to play
all the record here in the NFC East, John. You got them 5-1 in the NFC East.
Yeah, well, the NFC East stinks, and they should sweep the Giants, and they should sweep.
Is the NFC East better this year than they were last year?
A little slightly.
All right. Well, the Eagles were 3-3 in the NFC East last year.
Well, I think again they lost Week 18. Didn't matter. And they might lose because it might not matter, but I'm just picking the better team because you don't know who's going to play. So that's one that kind of fuels it. should they have lost 3 games? No, they shouldn't have. But yeah, it's not a great division. You have to take advantage of it, and they got to do a better job against the bottom half, Washington and the Giants.
All right, so I have them losing that game versus the Giants. I don't think they sweep the Giants this year. I think the Giants get one on them late, and it's not really a much meaning for the Eagles. I think the Giants win that game. All right, Johnny Mac, that's the full schedule. You have them at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have them 11-6 on the win and loss game for the Philadelphia Eagles. If you look over at mine, I have them at 12-5. So we are.
Now here's the key. This is the annual ode to my buddy Jody Mack.
Yep.
If you got to go up 1 or down 1, which way are you going, Zander Krause?
I'd go up 1. I have to.
I am also going up 1. So that's the positive part. I am also going up 1.
So if we both chose up or down 1, both of us go up, which would mean John would put him at 12-5. I'd put him at 13-4. That feels rich to me. I got to be honest.
That's why it's tough.
13-4 feels rich to me this year. No offensive coordinator, a lot of change coming to Philadelphia. I don't know. You know what I feel great about, John? I just think this defense is going to be so freaking good. I got a feeling this defense is just going to be a great defense.
Yeah, it's got to carry him early. That's, I got him going 6-3 before the bye. A lot of that's going to be defense, I think. And I like, the biggest thing I like is the 2 best defenses they have to play are late when you're going to have the best version of the offense. Now, that might not even be that good, but you're going to have figured out some of the growing pains by that point, hopefully, when you're facing Seattle and Houston back-to-back in December.
All right, John, pretty good exercise. 11-6 for J-Mac, 12-5 for me. Everybody in the chat, put below what you think the Eagles' record will be in 2026.
Let's get our first 17-0. Can we get a 17-0?
I'm sure we'll have a 17-0. They might be kidding, but I'm sure we got a 17-0. Everybody put their records in the chat. Kareem's got Eagles 14-3. Kareem is smoking on that good Eagles pack right there at 14-3.
They're 0-1 in social media, by the way. 0-1.
Here's Spike. Spike's got him 17-0. 16-1 for Quest.
Spike Askin, 17-0. No, that wouldn't be Spike.
Philly to Chicago's got 12-5. Philly to Chicago, you and me both. I'm sure you don't have the Cowboys sweeping them. Everybody's mad at me for that, I'm sure. Crowley has them 11-6. I think that's appropriate. 14-3, 11-6.
Crowley. That is perfect. 11-6.
13-4. 13-4, 14-3, 15-3. That doesn't add up. Sorry, brother. I guess it's a playoff loss. Is that where you're going there? 14-3, 12-5, 17-0. They win all games by 50. Hogan's trolling Eagle fans. All right. Brian Pumper smoking on. I know he's all mad at me for picking the Cowboys. Brian
8-9 is Pumper. 8-9.
I don't get how Brian Pumper hates on Jalen Hurts so much and then thinks that they're gonna go and beat everybody. What
does Pumper have him at?
I don't know. He won't put his record because he's so inconsistent. It can so easily be called out and put through a paper shredder. He will not stake his claim. Come on, Pump. 10-7, 10-7, 5-12. Whoa, Brandon has us falling off.
Oh, 5-12.
All right, we got a good variance here.
If they go 5-12, I think you got a one and done Sean Mannion situation, and Nick Sirianni is going to blow
the whole thing up, dude. Jalen might be gone. Nick might be gone.
Oh, they're all gone. You're right. Nick's gone. Sean's gone. Jalen's gone. 5-12. Yeah, they're all gone.
So Pumper's got him 8-9. All right, Pump. Classic.
All right. I like
all right,
the
so
bold.
Chicago's with me. He's got the Cowboys sweeping us.
Yeah, I don't see it, but I do think they'll win on Thanksgiving.
They're the regular season merchants. They got better on defense. Their offense is going to be similar. I think they're going to.
I think they got better on defense as a Philadelphia-centric belief in Christian Parker. I got to see what they are on defense.
So you don't like the personnel changes they've made?
Well, I mean, I like Quinnen Williams as a player. I like some of the players. I still think their secondary is atrocious.
Downs should help, but he is a rookie. It's hard to project him turning everything around that quick.
More corners because I do love Downs, and from what I hear, they're going to start him out in the slot, which I don't like. So right off the bat, I don't like that. If it's true, and I don't, we'll see. They got in their linebackers. They brought in D Winners. I'm like, really?
Yeah,
We got to see Overshawn if he's healthy. I mean, he's tremendously gifted, but again, you have to see. Pass rush, I don't like still. They got Gary, who's a good player, not a great player. Very similar to Kenny Clark, all their Green Bay acquisitions. Ezeraku showed some signs. Maybe he can take a step forward. Deron Bland, people act like he's Deron Bland from a couple of years ago. They did bring in Colby Durant, so that should help a little bit. That Shaban Rebel's got to take a big step forward, I would say.
Yeah, that was the kid they drafted last year, right? He was I liked him.
Yeah.
He
was coming off an injury. It could have been a first-round pick if he didn't get hurt.
There's always losses.
Overall, I don't like their corner situation. And Christian will make them a little bit better, but I don't know if there's opportunity to be a top 10 defense by any stretch. So, their goal is probably middle of the road. And maybe that's good enough for them because they should have a dynamic offense. So their goal is probably middle of the road. And if they can do that, they'll be. I mean, if you got them sweeping the Eagles, they're going to win the NFC East if they sweep the Eagles.
No, I mean they still got to win 12 ball games. I mean, last year they went 5-1 in the East, and they won how many games?
Dak
Prescott plays his best versus the NFC East. He just does.
Well, I mean, the NFC East, if you're losing to the Eagles, okay. But if you're losing to anybody else, you're not playing well. So at least, obviously, last year and recent, except for the one uptick for Washington. But, yeah, I mean, they're a good team. And I could see them both winning 11 games. Maybe one wins 12, and that'll win the division. But it's probably going to come down to who beats each other, and even potential tiebreaker if they do split.
Well, I mean, look, I agree. You're saying a lot of good things, and I see people pointing out where the Cowboys are deficient. But where are the Eagles deficient? If everybody had to pick, okay, where's the one area of the Philadelphia Eagles team that they're a deficient team? John, what would you say?
The Eagles' deficiency?
Yes.
Sorry, I was reading the text. It's a passing game.
Okay. Yeah. What's the Cowboys' deficiency?
Pass defense.
Okay, there you go. So the Eagles are not a team that's positioned to take advantage of the Cowboys' biggest deficiency, in my opinion. And the Cowboys are a team that will score points. I think the Cowboys win those games. I mean, I don't think it's that far off.
I mean, I wouldn't stun me if they won those games, but I think the Eagles are good enough to get one. But I do expect them to split. But if you ask me which team has more deficiencies, I would say the Cowboys have more deficiencies overall than the Eagles.
I agree with that.
But they're not as they're not as far apart as I think most Eagles fans think. I think the Cowboys are closer to the Eagles than most Eagles fans think. I'd agree with that.
All right, we'll see. People not happy with me. It's all good. 12-5, I got him. John's got him 11-6. And for the famous Jody Mack game of up or down, if you had to go up or down, we both went up, which means I'd have him at 13-4. I'm gonna have to switch that. I might have to switch. I don't know if they're going 13 wins this year.
I'm comfortable with 13. It's tough to win 13.
That's tough.
Now they've done it. They've done it twice.
They did 14 twice, didn't
14 twice, yeah. And they generally do it, they win 11, 14, 11, 14. So this is the 14 year. So from that standpoint, you might be in a good situation.
Well, we will see. We will see. I like the schedule for the Birds. I think it's a pretty solid schedule. I don't think there's any too grueling parts of it. I think that toughest stretch is late there in the year. And that's kind of why I have them losing to the Giants late, because I think they win versus Indy, Seattle, and Houston. As you can see, I put there. I'm sorry, I cannot buy into CJ Stroud, John. I struggle with that. But so I have the Eagles winning that, and then you kind of go have such a high there where you win those 3 games. I think they lose the 2 games on the road to close out the year, but could get to 13 if they beat those Giants. Beat the Giants there. So we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening with it, John. We got Kaden Steel coming up in a couple of minutes. Should we make Kaden Steel? Dude, it's a win. I'm not going to make.
I'm sure he already has done it.
Yeah,
I haven't checked.
I'll just get him to give us the record and what he thinks of some of the games. But
yeah, I mean, I'm sure NJ.com has made him do it already. So my guess is it's up. Everybody's got to. It's become a thing. Yeah, the NFL deserves credit for making this in. And like I said, some of the social media accounts are unbelievable around the league. And how they announce this kind of stuff. But, yeah, I mean, I don't get it. I mean, other than I get people love the NFL and it becomes real when you see the dates and the teams, and where they're going to be playing. And, when it comes to the international games and what network they're going to be in, because if you are a football fan, you have to have Fox, you have to have ESPN, you have to have the NFL Network, you have to have CBS, you have to have ESPN, you have to have Prime Video, you have to have Netflix, yada, yada.
It's literally insane, John.
Yeah.
I mean, at what point is the NFL gonna do something for the viewers? I mean,
well, there's 272 games, and I joked earlier before the schedule. I'm looking forward to the day that there's 272 media partners, and they each get to spoil 1 game of the schedule, because we're getting closer to that. It's just, it's going to be week 13, Carolina versus Atlanta on Pluto.
literally feels like we might not be far off from that at this point.
I don't want to pick on Pluto. So I'll, week 8, it's the big Tampa Bay New Orleans game on Roku. There you go.
Yeah, it's freaking crazy what they're doing. John, what do you think the biggest I know you already said which ones are some trap games, but to you, what are the games to look out for in terms of, doesn't look like they'll lose it, but keep an eye on that.
Carolina number 1 coming back from London. I think that's the true most notable trap game.
They're coming off a bye week there too.
Indianapolis, after what will probably be a pretty easy game against out in Arizona. I think maybe that's a little bit, and you're looking ahead to the reigning Super Bowl champions. I think that's a natural letdown game. And those are my 2 biggest trap games, so-called trap games. And Carolina and Indianapolis.
And you had them losing?
I had them losing to Carolina, beating Indy.
And beating Indy. All right, good stuff. So we go 1-1 in those trappers for you. Good stuff there, Johnny Mac. We got the schedule up here. We'll pull that down. We're going to our great friend Kaden Steel, who's set to join us here on Birds 365. He joins us right now. Kaden Steel, welcome to the program, man. Good to talk to you here on a Friday, fresh off the schedule release. How you doing this morning?
Good. How about you guys?
Good, man.
Good to see you, Kaden. Schedule day. Happy logistics day, I'd like to call it. And it's out, and we all get to see it. I assume NJ.com made you play that's a win, that's a loss, as stupid as it is. What is your quick assessment? I don't want you to go down win, loss, but what is your early assessment? How are the Eagles going to do this season? Oh,
Did we lose you, Kaden?
We got Kaden muted.
I think we lost him. Yeah, I think we lost him. We'll get him back on. We'll get him back on here in a second. I think I could see his mic disconnected. So we'll get Kaden back up here in just a second. Here's Brandon Snyder says, more likely, John, Sean Mannion gets let go after year one, or we win the division and get the second round of the playoffs.
More likely, Sean, and let me read that. Well, if they get to the second round of the playoffs, he might be gone anyway.
No. See, if they get the second round, he won't be. If they go to the Super Bowl, the guy's gone. Well,
no, I meant from a negative perception because they think they should make the Super Bowl. So, but I'm joking. I do think he'll. The only way he's gone, well, there's two ways. Like the 5 and 12 people, then he's gone. Everybody's gone. And then winning the Super Bowl, he's gone. Other than that, I think he's going to be back.
Unless they fall flat, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, you would really have to fall flat, though. I mean, you would have to miss the playoffs.
Yeah.
Or get, waxed 40-7 in the first round, like an embarrassing Tampa game.
We'll get embarrassed by Dallas on Thanksgiving. Yeah. All right. We're gonna reset. We're gonna reset the introduction of the legendary Kaden Steel. He's going to join us right now here on Birds 365. You can read all his work at NJ.com. All right, follow him on X. Does a great job covering the Philadelphia Eagles. Kaden, welcome in on a Football Friday. How you doing this morning, my friend?
Thank you, guys. I could hear you for about a second, then it just went completely silent.
Yeah, I saw your mic disconnect. I didn't know if it was you or it just happened. All good, brother. Good to have you on here. We appreciate you doing it.
Yep.
All right, win and loss game. First of all, did NJ.com make you do it? I assume they did. No, really? You don't have to do the predictions? Really?
It's the one good thing. I feel like I have a good, I could kind of do whatever I feel is.
Good. I'm glad. I'm
not a big fan of doing predictions,
None of us
this
are.
Far out.
None of us are. It's stupid. It's the stupidest game ever. It doesn't make any sense, and I'm still going to force you into it.
I mean, I have an idea of stuff and who they're playing and stuff, but we could do it.
The it's a win, it's a loss game. Zander had him at 12-5. Now this is what we do, and Jody Mack, my old co-host, you pick the record. So I had him going 11-6. Zander had him going 12-5. But here's the key part. Ode to Jody. If you're forced to go up one or go down one, which way would you go? So start off, you got 17 games. What's your feel for this team? And do you think the ceiling is higher? Would you go up one or lower? Would you go down one?
Based off like 11-6 and 12-5?
No, what would yours be?
Based off your quick assessment.
I'd probably go about 11 and
there we go.
11-6, and if I had to go up one or go down one, I'd probably go down one, probably to 10-7. I think the schedule is relatively difficult. I mean, they have a tough stretch at the end of the season with the Texans, Seahawks, 49. I mean, they have the Bears, the Rams. I heard you mention I don't think you should sleep on Carolina or Jacksonville either. It's a relatively difficult schedule, and I think. In my head right now, I think they have a safe floor because I believe in the defense. Vic Fangio's back for another season. They're really talented across that defense. Safety is the only real concern. So I feel good about that unit. I feel like I know what they're going to be. I feel like they're going to be a top 10 unit again, unless something really changes. So for that reason, I think they have a safe floor, and 10-7 is probably 9-8, 10-7 is probably the worst case scenario in my mind. I don't think this team's going to completely collapse, but until I know what the offense is going to look like with Sean Mannion, I think it's hard for me to say they're going to be 12-5, go above that, or 13-4 and be the top of the NFC. And for that to happen, the offense would have to be elite again. Again, the run game would have to be elite again. The passing game would have to be somewhat better. Until I see that, I can't make, a higher prediction than that. But I feel good about the team in general. I think they're still going to be a pretty good team, but I just don't know how I'm willing to go until the offense, plays out.
Last year, because the Eagles obviously the first team in 2 decades to win back-to-back NFC East titles. So Last year's schedule, I thought, was far more difficult for a number of reasons. No back-to-back home games are one of them. But when you have that first place schedule, there's 3 games that are different from your division opponents, and it's based on ranking. The Eagles play the first place teams of the NFC North, the NFC South, and the AFC North. Cowboys played second place, Commanders third, Giants fourth. Now, this year, because of those divisions, the Eagles get to play Chicago, Carolina, and Pittsburgh. The Cowboys, the second place team, have to play Green Bay, Tampa Bay, and Baltimore. I would argue that those 3 games are going to be tougher than the Eagles' 3 games. And even if you go down to Washington, which gets Minnesota, Atlanta, who I think is the most talented team in the NFC South, and Cincinnati with Joe Burrow, if he's healthy, maybe the best quarterback in the NFL. I think this is an easier schedule for the Philadelphia Eagles for that reason.
That's a fair point. I didn't think about it that way, but that is fair. Because, like, Carolina, I think, did get better this offseason, obviously, with the additions of Devin Lloyd and Jalen Phillips. But I still have questions overall about the team. I still have questions about Bryce Young. I don't know how good they're truly going to be. And then Pittsburgh is a mess. I mean, the whole Aaron Rodgers thing, like, even if Aaron Rodgers comes back, which he probably will, like, I mean, he's not very good anymore. I get they added, Michael Pittman. They got Jeremy Bernard in the second round with DK, and the offense should be, a little better maybe. I don't feel
Kenny Gainwell though. He's
guys, real quick. He must be coming back, right? Like, how do you, as an NFL organization, allow a quarterback to string you along until May 15th? I mean, we're after the NFL draft. They got to know. That's how I see it. I mean,
I think they know he's coming back. I mean, he doesn't want to do the offseason stuff, nor does he need to.
Do they even have anybody if he didn't come back?
I mean,
they drafted Drew Aller.
And who'd they draft last year? Didn't they draft
Will Howard?
Yeah,
Will Howard. Yeah. So no, they don't have anything. Mason, they still have Mason Rudolph, right? He's there.
Yeah, he's there too. So they
okay. good plan for the year, Pittsburgh.
Well, Aaron's going to play.
I agree.
But even if he plays, to Caden's point, he's not the player. You're probably talking about a 9-win team. Although Tomlin's not there, so maybe they go 8-9.
Yeah.
But I think Baltimore's better, even though they changed to Jesse Mentor, where everybody seems to love. And I think Cincinnati, if Joe Burrow's there, is better. So, I mean, you got to get a break being the first place team this year with this, by the way, the debate. Chicago, same thing. I would bet today, on the Detroit Lions to win the NFC North for the same reason Chicago won it last year. They're playing the 4th place schedule.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm high on Chicago. So I mean, going into the year, I think if I had maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it'll end up being the Commanders situation all over again because they had a weaker schedule. I don't think so. If I had to go into the year, I think Chicago's gonna be one of the Super Bowl favorites. I really believe in Caleb Williams. I guess sometimes the play is a little erratic.
I believe in the player too, but I think that's a tough spot for that team to keep elevating. I mean,
that's a good word. I love the player. I love the skill. I love his ability to make plays out of nothing, but that's a good word to describe. He's too erratic for me.
Yeah,
I can't make that. I can't make that leap yet. And I would say the Packers are going to be better and the Lions are going to be better. Probably not the Vikings, but I think they're going to take a step back this year. Which is not. And they still might be a good team because that's a good division.
Yeah. But, I mean, that matchup in particular might be tough for the Eagles. I mean, we talked highly about the defense, but the one thing they have struggled against is that run scheme. We saw it last year.
Oh, yeah. Darnell Wright, the horror show.
Yes, and that's just the particular, outside zone stuff. I mean, they don't really struggle that often, but it gets them. And they have Kyle Monangai and DeAndre Swift. We saw what happened on last year after Thanksgiving. I think that'll be a tough matchup for the Eagles. I know they lost Drew Domlin to retirement, but they're able to get a second-round center. If he's solid, I mean, they have good guard play. They have Darnell Wright. I mean, I think that is a tougher matchup for the Eagles than Detroit.
I'm losing that game. Yeah. I agree.
But the other ones, I agree with Carolina and Pittsburgh. I mean, like, I think Carolina maybe has a chance. I mean, we saw how they played against the Rams last year in the wild card. If they could build off that, like I wouldn't sleep on them. But Pittsburgh, I mean, I wouldn't be scared of Pittsburgh at all at this point. I mean, especially without Mike Tomlin, I have no idea what's going to happen there. I could see them being bad. Like it could be the year finally,
Yeah, falls apart a little bit. Yeah, I can see that. Kaden, I picked much to a lot of hate from Eagle fans over it, but I picked the Cowboys to sweep the Eagles. Am I off my rocker?
I don't know if you're completely off your rocker because
I'm halfway off the rocker, not completely.
I think those games are going to be difficult though. One, because the defensive talent did get a little bit better, and like I don't expect them to be a top 5 unit, but I mean they don't have to be a top 5 unit to be a much better team than they were last year. They stunk last year. They just had to be like middle of the pack to average. Because they already have a great offense with CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, Javonte Williams, and Dak. And I mean, like, they're going to put up points. If they can just have a solid defense that doesn't get them killed every single week, I think it's such an upgrade for that team. And they're going to be better. And two, I know he hasn't called plays yet as a defensive coordinator, but just covering the team the last couple of years, I mean, people think really highly of Christian Parker. I would be surprised if he doesn't work out. Like, from everyone I've talked to, he's extremely smart. He's dialed in. I think he's
telling you that Philly love of Christian Parker. I love Christian Parker as well, but look, I mean, I don't like the talent, especially at corner.
No, that's fair. Corner's terrible.
Christian can't go out there and play for them.
Well, the Eagles are in position to take advantage of that. Caleb or Kaden, they don't throw the ball well. They're bottom third in passing 2 years in a row. The Cowboys secondary sucks. Yeah, well, the Eagles passing offense sucks. How about that?
Yeah.
Both is objectively true.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, like, I think Caleb Downs will help. Obviously, they get.
I agree. He was my top defensive player in the draft. I only had 2 real blue chip players in this draft, and it was Jeremiah Love and Caleb Downs. Those are my 2. But they're going to start him in the slot. I don't know if I like that.
Yeah. I mean, they added Rashawn Gary. So, I mean, I'm not saying Rashawn Gary is as good as he was, 2 years ago. I don't think he's been the most consistent player. But I look, across their defense, they added Jalen Thompson at safety. He's solid. Like, I'm not coming out and claiming that they have a great defense. They have Quentin Williams, Kenny Clark up front. Obviously, the cornerback situation, like you mentioned, like Deron Bland. I think Savon Revell is projected to start, their 3rd-round pick from last year. I know they drafted Devin Moore. I mean, that's not a good cornerback situation at all. I think the linebacker situation isn't necessarily great. I mean, Overshawn has struggled to stay healthy. I know they traded for D. Winters.
He's okay. He's okay.
But if that's all they have to be, though, is they have to be okay. If they can get to be,
well, and they still need edge rushers. I mean, they drafted Malachi Lawrence, but
Malachi.
As a Rocco, maybe he takes a step forward. They still don't. And Rashawn Gary's obviously their best edge rusher, and he's like Kenny Clark. He's good, but he's not great. That's what they got from Green Bay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're going to be better on defense. It's hard to be worse. But I just think they still got a ways to go on defense. And the Eagles should be able to get one. I'm not saying the Eagles are going to sweep them. I think they're going to lose down there.
Yeah.
But and they have a very good offense. I mean, it's tough to pick apart their offense. They have a good offensive line. The 3 Tylers, they're really good players. Great receivers, deep at tight ends, good quarterback, even though people don't like to admit it. Javonte Williams. I mean, boy, people hate when I say this. Last year, Javonte Williams was a better running back than Saquon Barkley last year.
That's just hard to hear. Even if it's right, it's hard to hear.
I mean, so they have a very good offense. But I still think they got a ways to go on defense to be able to say that they're going to sweep the Eagles. But I do think it's probably going to come down to a tiebreaker for who wins the NFC East, most likely between Dallas and the Eagles.
Yeah, I would still pick the Eagles because One, I trust their defense a lot more. I think the Eagles are probably better coached. I still have questions about Brian Schottenheimer. I mean, I don't know what he is in year two. I think he looked fine last year. I mean, I don't think Dallas was like, there's anything that Schottenheimer did that made you really question if he could be a good coach, but still really don't know enough about him. People can.
Did you catch the draft that Greg Rosenthal did on his podcast?
No.
Did you catch the coaching draft?
No, I did not.
Gosh.
Did he put Schottenheimer above Sirianni?
He put Schottenheimer.
I still have the stupid picture saved. There it is.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Now it was him, Jordan Rodriguez. It was real people like Ali.
It's like, where's Waldo? Where is Nick Sirianni on this list?
18th. That's like, what are we doing here? Like, I get, people don't like Nick and the personality and all that kind of stuff, but I mean, the success is the success. I mean, you got Jesse Minter who hasn't coached a game. They're picking him before Nick Sirianni. It's like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
I think and I think he's a good play caller, but I don't know how you're picking Kevin O'Connell over Nick Sirianni at this point.
That's insane.
2 years ago.
How do you pick Sean McVay over Sirianni? He's never beaten him. If you want to be honest.
Yeah.
John, if you were starting a team right now, you would take Sean McVay.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
I'm talking about
it was a draft, John.
I'm talking about the hypocrites who say, who change between, well, he wins this, he wins it. But, one of my problems with the Eagles is, and correct me if I'm wrong from your perspective, Kaden, but one thing that bothers me to high heaven, this whole offseason has been basically, hey, Kyle Shanahan's in our fucking heads. Sean McVay's in our heads. Like, why? It bothers me.
Yeah. I don't know if I see it that the same. I get where you're coming from. I mean, like they're changing the offense to a scheme a team that
they're copying. Let's be honest. They're copying people they think are better.
Yes, smarter offensive minds than they are. Which, I mean, they are. I mean, like, if we're going to look at what they've been running the last few years, I don't think they've had a real scheme advantage. In 2024, I mean, it was just the offensive line was so dominant and Saquon and, but they weren't, doing anything schematically that, wowed you. They were just more physical and they were better. Last year, they weren't. I mean, the offensive line was worn down. Obviously, Saquon wasn't as effective. The passing game honestly, the passing game was pretty much what it was in 2024. And I think they need to have a real schematic advantage going forward and be less reliant on talent and physical dominance, which they were in 2024.
Well, all right, I'll buy that. So I'm going to give you $10 billion. I'm going to bequeath that to you. I'm going to make you an NFL owner. And if I'm in and I'm involved, like Jeffrey Lurie's involved, and somebody comes into me, I want, and the Eagles went through this on defense. They hired a bunch of copies before they got Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio's the Vic Fangio of defense, and Kyle Shanahan's the Vic Fangio of offense. Mm-hmm. I want the guy who does it. Yeah. If I can't get the guy who does it, I'm going with somebody who's got their own beliefs and their own ideas who I think can grow as a coach. I don't want copycats. I don't like copycats. And the Eagles pride themselves on being innovative and ahead of the curve. And all of a sudden they reverse gear and say, we got to copy this guy. It's bullshit.
Yeah, I get your point. I mean, I think credit to the Shanahan scheme. I think there has been more copycats that have been successful. Who've been a part of that McVay-Shanahan trade, like Matt LaFleur.
Yeah, right.
And Liam Cohen. We saw what Liam Cohen did with Trevor Lawrence this year. And
there's a million of them, but that's my whole point. So, what are the odds, Kaden, that you're going to do it better than those guys? What are the odds?
I don't know about better, but I think it just has to be better than what they've been doing the last couple of years. I mean, this offense has been the bottom of the NFL in passing offense for the last 2
Maybe
years.
it's the quarterback.
Yeah, potentially. I'm not disagreeing with that, but like,
where was Indianapolis when Phillip Rivers was there in his final season? I got to look that up. Zander, can you look that up?
What do you want me to look up? I was looking up. You'll be happy. I was looking up bequeath, Johnny Mac. Good word.
Phillip Rivers, his final season, not when he came back, his final season before he retired the first time with Indianapolis. Where was Indianapolis's passing offense? Because I got to believe it was pretty good.
That was what, 2020?
2020-ish. I have to, but to keep it going with Kaden, I mean, like they run the offense, they run because of the quarterback they have.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they think that that's not good enough anymore, and I mean, I think they believe and we've talked about this before, from the glimpses they saw against Minnesota last year. I mean, I think they bring that up all the time.
Oh, my God.
The
11th. They were 11th.
11th with a 57-year-old quarterback.
253 yards per game.
11th. And I think people would be head over heels if they were 11th this year. In the passing. My point is, and this is how Nick got the job when he convinced Jeffrey Lurie. Look, remember what Indianapolis went through. Andrew Luck retired early. It was easy with Andrew Luck because he was phenomenally gifted, but he retired early and they had to make a new offensive build around Jacoby Brissett, and they did a pretty good job. And then they shifted gears again and built a completely new offense around Phillip Rivers. 3 years, 3 completely different offenses. That's what he sold Jeffrey Lurie on, building around the players he has. Not, I'm going to run Kyle Shanahan's scheme. Like, who is to blame for this? That's what I want to know.
I mean, I see your point totally, and honestly, if I'm going to make like a kind of like a counter point to that, I mean, this is Nick's scheme that he brought in. He talked about, adjusting to his players and running different offenses. So if he's going to this scheme, it makes me feel more and more like Nick doesn't really have an answer to get the most out of Jalen. This offense has stopped working in terms of the passing. And I think Jalen deserves, a good portion of that blame, but they're trying to figure out how to, one, get the most out of this offense, and 2, get the most out of this quarterback. Because they think he's limited and they're trying to expand his game, and maybe Nick doesn't have the answer. So they're going outside of the organization, hoping that, an entirely different scheme can maximize Jalen Hurts. Because I think if we're being honest, Jalen didn't play well last year, but this scheme has also gotten old and it's not really effective. And I think Kevin Patullo was in over his head last year. I mean, I think both were true.
Well, I think that's fair, but
they're hoping that they can go to a different offense that Jalen will respect and embrace, and it will become good. And I think that's what they're hoping. Because honestly, I think if they kept on doing what they've been doing, I mean, it hasn't worked. I mean, at what point? I mean,
they won 11 games.
I get
with
it.
With a crippled Landon Dickerson and a crippled Cam Jurgens.
Yes. And I think I think that's also part. I think they think this scheme will help the rushing offense as well.
Oh, definitely. I'll tell you what, from talking to Kaden, I want to revise my record down to 8-9.
Oh, man.
I'm not saying this offense is going to work, but I don't think it would have worked if they just ran it back with what they've been doing.
Well, I do. If Medellin's stem cells work, I do think it would work. And Lane Johnson stays healthy. I mean, Lane's got to be out there too. They miss Lane for half a season. That's what kills me. Lane misses half a season. Landon Dickerson's a shell of himself. Cam Jurgens is a shell of himself, and they still won 11 games. Now, you're telling me, Kaden Steel, if those guys aren't healthy, playing at their level, if they are healthy, playing at their level, they don't win 13 games?
Yeah, probably. But I don't think you can guarantee that Cam Jurgens or Landon Dickerson, any of those guys are going to bounce back and stay healthy.
Well, that I agree with. You can't.
And then they look at Sam. I mean, again, Sean Mannion's not going to be Kyle Shanahan, but they look at San Francisco and look how many players that
like
they
who builds an offense around what the quarterback is uncomfortable doing.
I agree with you. I don't I'm not saying whether it's going to work or not. I mean, it's definitely a big jump.
The biggest thing going for Sean Mannion is, folks, it's hard to get worse. I mean,
that's true.
You inherit a good offense. You got to keep it up.
The sentiment, and I don't even think it's true, but what we're being sold is what bothers me. Ultimately, I think when the games start and it's September 13th and Washington shows up, I think they're going to go try to win the game any way possible. And I think it's all going to morph into similar to what happened with Kellen Moore. We're going to try to evolve, and that's fine. You should try to get better and try to get better at things you're not great at. But when the real games start, you got to scale back and do what you do best. I think that's what's going to happen. But if it doesn't, and they just keep pounding the square peg in the round hole with this, like we're playing this scheme. And the irony of that is, Sean McVay, it's most notable with Sean McVay. He evolved. He's not even playing close to what he played when he arrived in Los Angeles with all the 12 and 13 and heavy personnel. And Kyle Shanahan has morphed over the years. Those guys morph around what they have.
Yeah.
So the irony of saying, well, you got to do it like this, I think is just beyond silly, especially with this particular quarterback. And that's not, people take it as an insult to Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is really good. I just think you have to take advantage of what he does well.
Yeah. I guess the only thing is maybe, in due time, we have to give Sean Mannion the benefit of the doubt. Maybe Sean, maybe they're not going to go out and run a full version of the scheme. Maybe they'll have, a little bit of what he wants to do. Maybe he has his own ideas mixed in with a little bit of the scheme. And maybe it won't be, the traditional McVay offense with everything, but maybe there will be elements of it that help the offense grow. I think we don't know.
I think you're right. Here's where I think you're right, Kaden. It's about the running game more than the passing game.
Yeah, I think so as well. The balance of it, as they say, I think they think it's going to help. And they got to get this run offense back, because I think back to my point, like, I don't know what's going to happen with Cam Jurgens and Landon Dickerson. I mean, like, if you hear Cam Jurgens talking about his back injury during the offseason when he was on busting with the boys, like, he didn't look very good last year, and you got to hope stem cell therapy helps, and you got to hope stem cell therapy helps with Landon Dickerson. But what if it doesn't? I mean, I think they need a real scheme advantage when it comes to the run game now and overall with the offense. That's why I'm fine with them doing this, because I think they needed to make a change. They need a new mind in here to help this offense. But does it work out? I don't know. I mean, and is it fair to say you're worried about how the quarterback's going to translate to this game? I think it is. So it's a huge mystery. But I don't hate them from trying, because I think if they went back with what they did last year.
I don't. Well, hate is a strong word. I don't hate them for trying. I think you should try to evolve, like I said. But I don't like I don't want the Xerox copy. I don't like copycats. I like innovative people. I think people who come up with their own stuff are the way to go, unless you can go get Kyle Shanahan. And by all means, I'm 100%. If you can get him as the offensive coordinator, by all means, do it. I think he's the best play designer, play schemer in the NFL. And quite frankly, I don't think number 2 is close. Now, he's got some issues as a head coach with game management and all that stuff. But if you can get him, just like they did on defense with Vic, yeah. But everybody else, Sean Desai was running Vic's defense. Jonathan Gannon was running Vic's defense to, at least better than Sean, but
yeah.
And so many people have done it. And the same thing when you talk about, McVay and O'Connell and LaFleur, and now you have the other LaFleur, and half the league, and now you have the Kubiaks, and half the league is running the scheme, and they're all more of an expertise and have better fits for it than you do, because you've been playing a different style.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fair criticism. I think for Sean's perspective, I think the thing that you can feel good about is obviously he's been around McVay and he all these different coaches, but he's been around a lot of them. He's been around McVay, he's been around Dave Canales, he's been around Clint Kubiak, Matt LaFleur. All their offenses kind of look
O'Connell. He was with O'Connell. Yeah.
They all look a little bit different. They do things a little bit differently. So it makes me feel like it's not, if he was around his entire career around just McVay, for 7 seasons and then became an assistant on LaFleur, I think maybe you would feel like it would be a little pigeonholed and he would try to copy it. But I mean, the fact that he's been around 8 or 9, these coaches.
Can I ask you, because Kaden's he's a true football guy, I would say. He's one of the guys who understands the game that covers and I can't say that about everybody. He understands schematics and players and all that kind of stuff. And when Sean McVay, and I tell people, don't listen to me. Listen to Sean McVay. He calls his own offense the illusion of complexity. And he basically runs 7 to 10 passing, own words, 7 to 10 passing concepts. But he runs them out of different personnel formations, different groupings, personnel groupings, everything designed to look the same to try to, force the defense to be in a non-desirous situation. So trying to keep linebackers on the field, things like that, and you have the advantage. I think the idea most people get is this is Bill Walsh, and he says it. This is pretty freaking simple, folks. Illusion of complexity. But you get that mentality with Philadelphia. It's like, well, it's a high school offense. It's this, it's that. And Sean McVay is laying it out bare. Look, it's not that complicated. Why do people think it is?
Because I think, honestly, the number one reason is because it's just way more effective what these schemes do. And it makes it look easier. It makes it look more creative. And I agree. They kind of dumb it down and make it simple for the guys to understand what they're doing. But for defenses, and it kind of puts them in a bind because it puts them in, like you said, it keeps linebackers on the field and different matchups. I mean, it might be a simple scheme for McVay and Shanahan, but they have such a feel for what they're doing and how to dictate defenses and what situations and what packages to run. And it looks great. And I just think, the Eagles haven't had that necessarily over they didn't have it with Kevin Patul, obviously. They obviously didn't have it with Brian Johnson. I think that might be part, I don't think they're fully to blame. I mean, this is Nick's offense at the end of the day, or was. And when they had Kellen, it looked a little bit, at least the rushing offense was better. And I give Kellen some credit for that. But I don't think this offense, I mean, I feel like they think they need a real schematic advantage, and they haven't had it. And they're hoping that Sean, because of his experience or being around the schemes and understanding how you need to dictate defenses just from learning from those guys, I feel like they're hoping that he can finally bring that true schematic advantage. I think the last time they really had a real schematic advantage was in 2022 when Shane Steichen was in control. Jalen was playing at his best, using his legs the most, and they just had such an offense that, Jalen was running it so well. Shane had such a good feel for it. They haven't really had that since 2022, and I think they're hoping.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. Jalen's got to put that back in his game, the running, the +1 aspect, because they were still running hitch routes with Shane Steichen. Maybe not to that level, but they were running a bunch. But
he also he threw the ball more to the middle of the field that year. That was his best season. I think
by far his best season.
Most comfortable as a passer. And obviously he had trust in Shane. I mean, Jalen's gone through, 7, 8 offensive coordinators. And obviously, for some reason, he believed in Shane. He had trust in Shane. He took what was there. He moved off obviously the legs is another argument. I mean,
it's all about people judge results. Caden's right. It's all about they were good. They were good running hitch routes. AJ and Devontae were beating people one-on-one consistently. Yeah. They were open. Jalen's throwing the open receivers, which, by the way, is not an insult, but in college, that's usually, you don't have a lot of timing throwers anymore, anticipatory throwers. Nobody's throwing the ball before the receiver breaks. College quarterbacks throw to open receivers. And when you got guys who win one-on-one like AJ and Devontae were doing consistently, it can look really, really effective. And when they aren't, it could look like it looked last year. I think, Kaden, the key to this whole offense, get better on first down. I think the Eagles think that too.
Yeah, it's get better on first down, run the ball better on first down, get to the line of scrimmage faster so you can get in. One of the slowest teams at getting to the line of scrimmage. There's just a lot of inefficiencies in this offense that held it back. Less penalties. I mean, I feel like last year they were just shooting themselves in the foot constantly, including on first down. They have to get better and just be way more efficient in what they do. Because last year, I mean, it was bad from, I think, a coaching perspective, but the personnel also didn't help it. So I mean, I think we got to see a team that is just. I remember, certain guys talking about during the year, it might have been Jordan Mailata talking about there was, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but a lack of focus. I mean, there was stuff on the player side as well.
Yeah.
I think needs to be cleaned up. I mean, if we're thinking about, just last year in general, I think you had a combination of things, a team that was just worn out from that Super Bowl run, especially up front, that offensive line. They played a ton of games. They were asked to carry the team pretty much with Saquon. I mean, those guys were just worn down. You could tell it. You could hear it in their voices by midway of that season. I mean, this team was exhausted. And you had a coach that came in that, Kevin Patullo, out of convenience, I think, in the sense, because they didn't have the time to do a full offensive coordinator search. They hired the next best guy in the building, and that they thought. And obviously, Kevin wasn't ready for that role, and it was a disaster, frankly. And I think we got to see this offense bounce back, and I think there's a chance with this new scheme. But yeah, I mean, they got to get better on first down. I think it is the biggest key.
Well, we'll see what ends up happening, Kaden. The schedule came out. You have them doing a pretty solid season. We'll see what happens. Brother, we appreciate you joining in today on a schedule release Friday, and we'll talk to you again soon. All right, brother?
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Kaden.
There's Kaden joining us right here on Birds 365. Great show today. Johnny Mack, a little win-loss, little Kaden Steel talk right there. I get your point, by the way, on Christian Parker, but I got to say this. I mean, they were the 32nd ranked defense last year.
It's similar to Sean Mannion. I think they're going to get better. I don't think but I still think they got a long way to go, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree with that. We'll see what happens, John. It's going to be an interesting season, I think, for sure. It's a lot of good conversation there between you and Kaden, too, on the offensive schematics, which will be interesting to see how that all plays out. But, John, overall, after the schedule release, how you feeling about this Eagles?
Well, I feel worse now after talking to Kaden. I got them down to 8 and 9. I'm joking, because I don't think they're gonna do what everybody thinks they're gonna do, which is just by hook or by crook play Kyle Shanahan's scheme, no matter what. I don't think they're gonna do that, and if they do, I don't think it's gonna go well. So while most of that was joking, 8 and 9, that's the only way they can go 8 and 9. If they say, you know what, we're doing this just to prove a point, which I think is so silly. It's like, what point are you trying to prove other than your own inefficiencies as an organization? This goes from 1 through 32. You build around the players you have. I mean, why anybody debates that is crazy to me. Kyle does it. Sean does it. Nick does it. Everybody does it. Now, can you have a base philosophy that you want to get to when you get the players you want? And nobody ever gets everybody they want. It's not a perfect world. It doesn't exist. So you can always strive to, hey, we want to play this way. That's fine. But until you get the players to play that way, you better take advantage of the players you have. Those are the great coaches.
I agree with you, John. I think that's pretty easy to understand, to be honest. I don't think you got to be a rocket scientist to get what you're saying with that. All right, we got a super chat. This guy, what a Too nice. This is one of the worst super chats I've ever seen. He says, $10. Thanks for the $10, bro. I appreciate your support. He says, why does every conversation have to involve these shots at Jalen Hurts? Don't y'all think he's taken enough heat this offseason? We get it. You think he sucks. I mean, first off, he starts off with a conversation about a brand new offense with a brand new coordinator, about a team that literally only thing they had to fix this offseason is the offense. And he wants us to remove conversation about the quarterback of that offense. And then he projects himself onto us by saying, we get it, you think he sucks, which neither of us have ever said. Too nice. That is a crock of shit. Stop victimizing yourself, Too nice.
Yeah.
Bullshit ass.
It's like I say it all the time. If you want validation, there's plenty of places to get it.
What do you want to say? Talk about the offense and not talk about the quarterback?
Yeah. I mean, it's insanity. I get it all the time because you have these two wing nuts, I like to call them. You got the one group that thinks Jalen Hurts can do anything and can do no wrong, and then you have the other group who do think he stinks, and they're both incredibly wrong. But it is what it is. If you're looking for validation, I'm giving you an honest opinion, and I always try to say we try to elevate the conversation here. If you don't elevate the conversation by saying you can't criticize the quarterback of an NFL team. I mean, think about that.
Yeah, the funniest part is I don't even think you criticize him that much, John. I think you add realistic analysis to the conversation.
Yeah,
Jalen played this style of football and been very successful.
How many times
why are they
trying
to get him to play a style he doesn't play? It makes complete
doesn't make
sense.
any sense.
It's not even a criticism what you say.
Any sense.
I don't get it. It's like
I've said consistently, I'm taking advantage of Jalen Hurts by building around his strengths for as long as humanly possible. For as long as the shelf life is there, I'm building around what he does well. I ask everybody that simple question. Nobody can answer it because it doesn't make any sense. Why would you ever build an offense around things the quarterback is uncomfortable with? Why?
it's like me building Birds 365 around mock drafts and lists. Wouldn't work out too well, would it? Johnny Mack would be miserable every day.
And then, I always say, you're not asking Kirk Cousins to play like Jalen Hurts. Why would you ask Jalen Hurts to play like Kirk Cousins?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. All right, Johnny Mack, good stuff, man. Your final thoughts here. You had him at 11-6, right? Yeah, 11-6. And if you went up or down, you did go up. Did Kaden actually make you rethink it?
Well, no, I mean, I would go to, I don't believe it's going to happen. There's a lot of people who cover the Eagles. I think Kaden is in that category, but he's more open to the idea that eventually they'll scale back. I think there's a lot of people who think they're going to run Kyle Shanahan's offense no matter what to prove something. I don't know. That Jalen can either do it or not do it. And I don't think that's true. I don't think that will be the case. I think they will build around the strengths of the quarterback. But they're trying to work on the things he is uncomfortable with so he becomes more comfortable with them, which to me in the offseason, there's nothing wrong with that. You should be doing that anyway. Without a scheme change. You should be doing that every offseason anyway. That's what the offseason is for. But ultimately, as I said, when September 13th comes around and you got to beat the Washington Commanders, you go beat the Washington Commanders. Not about, you got to play this style to beat the Washington Commanders. Go beat them with what you have. And that's what they've done at a higher level than almost anybody else over the past 5 years.
I'm with you, John. Going to be an interesting season, my friend. Schedule came out yesterday. Not too bad for the Birds. We did our win-loss. We had a good show today. Good conversation with Kaden Steel. Appreciate you doing it on this Football Friday. Johnny Mac, we'll catch up with you on Monday, my friend.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thanks, Johnny Mac. There's Johnny Mac, John McMullen joining us right here on Birds 365. Follow him at JF McMullen. Great show today. A great show today, everybody. It's a win. It's a loss. It's a win. It's a loss. I got the Birds at 12-5. I got the Birds at 12-5. All right. 12-5 right now. 2 nights. Sorry. I never said he was above criticism because he's definitely not, but I just feel it just becomes too much at times. Well, too nice. I got bad news for you, my friend. The world is not here to placate to your feelings, and neither is Birds 365. You ended this super chat by saying, I just feel it becomes too much. Well, too nice. I don't know if anybody's ever told you this in life, but I've certainly been told this. I've even been told this by my father. Fuck your feelings. We're talking about the Philadelphia Eagles offense. I'm not here to placate to the feelings of 2-nice-06. If I did that, I might not have a show at this point. Holy moly, too nice. You know, you teed it up on the T-ball with the first super chat, and then you smacked a grand slam with the second one. You smacked a grand slam with the second one. Unbelievable here. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Here's Ricardo. Birds 365. Why not bring the same energy towards the head coach? He's the least productive person in leadership. He can't even make in-game adjustments. Question for you, Mr. Ricardo. It's a yes or no. Did Nick Sirianni make adjustments in 2024 when the Philadelphia Eagles won a Super Bowl after completely switching the offense after week 4? Would you classify that, Mr. Ricardo, as the coach making adjustments? Okay? I know you love to talk about 25 where you didn't feel like there was adjustments. And you'll talk about 23 where you didn't feel like there was adjustments. But you conveniently leave out 2024 where adjustments were made and those adjustments led to the Philadelphia Eagles winning a Super Bowl. Or no, that just didn't fit your mold. It didn't fit your thinking. All right? It didn't placate to this faulty reasoning you have. So you can't include that one. Too nice. Good stuff. Thanks for being a good sport. All right? I appreciate you. I understand where you're coming from. It does feel like it's a lot on Hurts at times. But listen, at the end of the day, when the passing game stinks for multiple years on end, this is just what's going to happen. I mean, you know, I think it would happen to any quarterback. Right. He did what he usually does. Right. He figured out how to win. Yeah, Curtis, exactly right. They did make adjustments, Curtis. They made adjustments. That's why Jeff Stoutland's not here anymore. They did make adjustments. What he didn't want to do was he didn't want to adjust back to a pass-happy offense, which did not work in the past. He tried to modify the run game, which is what enabled them to have the level of success that they had. It's like sometimes I don't even understand the thinking. It's like you do something that works at the highest level of your profession to the point where you're raising the trophy at the end of the year. And then people just want to make Nick Sirianni forget that existed, throw it in the trash, and completely reinvent an offense and go back to the one, by the way, that didn't work. Doesn't like what? 2 + 2 = 42. 2 + 2 = 42. Rasputin says, absolutely he did, but the solution was easy. He solved how to get to the second floor when there were stairs. In 23 and 25, when there weren't stairs, he glued bottle rockets to his legs. All right, great delivery. I'll give you that. great delivery, but Rasputin, this is again a load of shit. I mean, Rasputin, tell me what you would have done. All right. Would you have started to throw the ball 35 times a game with Jalen Hurts? Is that your projected solution? All right. I mean, I don't get what you mean. What would you have said he should have done differently in 25 after having the level of success he had, with the stairs in 2024? It's like you walk up a set of stairs, to use your analogy, and you get paid $1 million when you reach the top stair. Congratulations. You go back down and it's like, all right, I'm going to walk up the stairs again. That worked out well. And now it's like, you're an idiot. Why would you walk up those stairs? What the fuck do you mean? Those stairs just got me paid $1 million. Why would I not walk up these stairs again? And then if there's a roadblock on those stairs, well, Dan, I'm going to try and do everything I can to keep walking up the stairs and get around the roadblock, because that won big for me. That was a big win for me. I mean, I don't get it. So is your thought process then they should have just abandoned that? I mean, it's not so simple to do, man. They have a quarterback that plays a certain style of football. Appreciate the honesty. I have no clue. I'm not a head coach. Me neither, Rasputin. I just get up here on shows and talk. All right. Some people like it. Some people don't like it. Some people rip. Some people praise. Whatever. It is what it is. No, I'm not going this weekend. I wish I was, but I'm not. I have I got some shit going on. And I have my goddaughter's birthday tomorrow. I am actually going to see a place to move into potentially tonight. And then Sunday, what do I have Sunday? Anything Sunday other than church? Maybe need to do some more looking at some properties. We'll see. Nah, nothing this weekend. You know what I'm watching this weekend, Hogan? It's actually not NASCAR. What I'm watching this weekend is the Nürburgring 24 hours. Are you familiar with that? Is anybody familiar with that? The Nürburgring 24 hours? It's freaking awesome. If you like cars or racing at all, it's like freaking awesome. Zay, you doing more car shorts soon? I should, Rich. I really need to get that going more, honestly. My one did like over 100,000 views on ZKs, so I got to get those back going again for sure. Morty says, note to chat, don't use the words I feel. Yeah, because it's a crock of shit, Morty. Feelings are the stupidest thing in the world. Everybody feels like their feelings matter. Fuck cares about your feelings. And I say this to my fiance. She says, what are my feelings? They matter. I said, okay, honey, come give me a hug. Come give me a hug, honey. I give you a rub on the back. I give you a little rub on the back. I love you. Okay, here's a kiss. Okay, I know your feelings aren't there. This is the truth, though. This is the logic, honey. Okay? Sometimes that's what I feel like I'm dealing with, Morty. With my fiance, I can handle it. I'm used to it. I grew up with 3 sisters. I understand. I don't expect it from Mr. Too Nice. Or you, for that matter. Feelings. I don't think I'll watch the entire 24 hours. No, senor, but I will keep my eye on it for sure. I grew up with 2. I figure it's not pain, Kevin. It's just kind of I'm used to it. I didn't quite expect it from a bunch of macho men in the football chat. Yeah. Jalen Hurts. Whoa! Come on, man. Come on, Morty. BGG's having a weekend. I'll be at car shows and a fine arts fiesta. The hell is a fine arts fiesta? That's a good question. No, we haven't done that. I got to go and do that now. I'm probably behind on that, actually. I really want a fire band. You're right. If I showed you, let's see, when did Joseph get married? 23? September of 23? I want to say September of 23. Let me show you my brother's. My brother's band is sick. I would literally get the exact band my brother got and be happy with it. Where is that thing? I thought I had a picture of it. Here it is. Sometimes I wish someone there will find me. That song's been stuck in my head since I was singing it to you guys last night. Damn, where's this photo? I literally just saw it. Sometimes I wish. Damn, I can't find it. He had a sick ring, though. He had a sick ring. Grace, you got a good ring? Oh, Curtis. Jesus, people's feelings are human beings. Oh, Curtis. Go ahead. Go and make your life decisions based on your feelings. You do you, my fucking guy. I'll do me. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead. You start making big life decisions based on your feelings. I'll tell you, yeah, that'll end well. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness, Curtis. Wife designer, that's sick. That's sick. Journey is in AC next weekend. I'm not interested in this. Yeah, I didn't even look at their schedule. Caffeine kicking, yeah, it is. Curtis says, "Read the rest, bitch." Oh man. You can't just let them shut your brain. I agree. He says, Elmo Z, life would be great if I never. No, I didn't say don't feel emotions. That's not what I said. See, Curtis, you've chosen to hear what you want to hear. Obviously, the range of emotions in life is God-given, and it's a beautiful thing. And that's why I always say that I absolutely love life. And I even love life when it sucks. But if you think I'm going to sit here and make my decisions in my life based on happiness or sadness or this or that or excitement, it's fleeting. They come and they go. You don't make decisions based on fleeting emotions. One day you're happy, the next day you're sad. Tell me how that's a good way to build a life and make decisions. It's called principles. It's called logic. It's called setting things up and making the right decision, not the decision that makes you happy. I always say, I don't give a shit about my happiness. If I cared about my happiness, I probably wouldn't be talking to you right now, Curtis. Holy moly. That's one of my all-time favorite lines. Get your house in order. Sounds like Curtis has to get his in order. Holy moly. Josh B, I appreciate it, man. We got a guy in here whose brain is firing on all cylinders. What a beautiful thing to say. Josh B, thank you. Thank you. Best was we don't. Yeah, Morty, I was jamming yesterday. I was jamming. Z's being tough now. Wait till he has a daughter. Yeah, you might be right, Deshae. You might be right. I already know, okay? My daughter will get everything. My daughter can have everything. Everything in life that I can provide for my daughters will be provided to them. When it comes to my sons, you will have to scrap and claw and earn your way and prove your value and not give a rat's ass about your feelings on any given Sunday. You wake up, you have discipline, and you do what you have to do, irregardless of how you feel. I wake up, Curtis, I'm a little tired today. I don't want to do my show. Okay, buddy. Why don't you take off? Why don't you take off today? Why don't you take off? What would that get me? What would that get me? You know, it's like when I was a kid. My mom, God bless her, we weren't allowed to miss school for being sick. I didn't miss a single day of school in my life because I was sick. We wake up, Mom, I don't feel good. Get in the shower, shut up, and go to school. Get on the bus. Get on the bus. Trey, you're projecting. You must be a loser. Coffee for the weekend. Thanks for the great show. Hogan, thank you, brother. All right. Zander, doesn't matter. I got to get up and get it done, or I would feel like shit for giving myself the excuse. Well, there you go. That's a good way to rewire your feelings. I appreciate that one. Daughters change things. My sons have it way harder. Ashton, I think that's a good way to go about it. Sounds like my parents. Yeah, no, we weren't allowed to miss school for a tummy ache in the morning. All right. We weren't allowed to miss school for a tummy ache. Y'all got Z fire. I'm always fired up, Jason. I got a lot of energy here. My daughters call me a curmudgeon, but they still love me. Chuck, I'm sure they do. You're a good man. See, Trey Daniel, that is such a bad take, and it shows how actually bad your perception is and your view is on how to on life, to be honest, at large. That is not at all what makes that happen. And I won't even read it because it's degrading. Had to throw up. Yeah, that's kind of true. I didn't throw up much. Zander, I didn't get other kids sick. Hogan, I never got sick. I never got sick because my mom built my mental capacity. She said, "You're not sick." I said, "Oh shit, maybe she's right." Oh wait, I'm not sick. Instead, these people get in their heads like Curtis, and "Oh, I don't feel good," and then you start to believe it, and then you start to listen to it, and then you start to feel worse, and then you start to lay bedridden for 3 days, not doing your work. Unbelievable, unbelievable. We had a lot of losers in the chat today, but Trey Daniel is going to take the biggest loser. By the way, a guy who must put Cilio in AI and turned him into a black guy with an afro and made that his profile picture, which probably tells you all you need to know about that person, but I digress. I digress. And I ain't learning any of it from you, I'll tell you that much. Some of us feel emotions, but yeah, I'm not saying you're not going to feel them. Big Z, come on over to the Eagles game in London. Gorby, maybe I will. Maybe I will. Maybe I will. Eagles, London game. How much are flights? Google flights. All right, we got Philadelphia. What's the airport over there? Is it just London? Heathrow, is that right? Go to London in the UK. All right, when's the game? Where is this date? I don't know. I fixed the dates. All right, when's the game? The London game? September? Come on. September what? 11th of October. All right, so I got to fly in the 10th or the 9th. Fly in the 9th. I don't know what this is, like the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Yeah, it's $1,000. It's not that bad. Z, get a Ninja Lux coffee, make a cappuccino, and keep it working. You know it, Park. You know it. Oh, look. Now he throws that in. Oh, you did that good parent. Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, Dad. Actually, you know what, Dad? Instead of trying to give your kids a good life, Dad, you know what? Why don't you just become a bum? You know, we got to make Trey Daniel feel better about himself. You know, Dad, you know what, Zander? When you have kids, why don't you just be a bum? That way you can avoid someone telling them that they had a good life because their parents love them. You know, what a better solution. Yeah, good one, Trey. Let me apologize for that. Let me make sure I apologize because I have a hardworking pops. Okay. I will never apologize for that. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Oh, no, he's a Nepo baby. Oh, my God. His dad loves him. What am I supposed to do? Oh, my gosh. What a pussy. What a pussy. Holy moly. Ah, these people are insufferable. You know, Trey was normally not bad in the chat, but I've learned a lot about him today. Did we get word? I have no extra tickets on the opener. I'm trying to get one more for my boy Fredo, but I have no extra tickets. That has come and gone. I tried to tell everybody when it was happening. It was coming and it was going. And they were not going to be around for long. $100 to get into an Eagles game? Are you kidding me? Those things are gone. All right? Those things are gone. Oh, Trey, did I get you? Oh, I'm sorry, Trey. I'm sorry. Go make more AI photos of somebody in blackface. That's cool, bro. You got a lot going for you. And we run a business. What are you talking about? Your dad, my dad pays for me to have a YouTube channel. I have an LLC that pays John and Dan every week. Go ask Dan. He got paid this morning. Went out of my account at 9 a.m. I don't know what you mean. Now you're upset that me and my dad have a good relationship and work together? Oh, okay. Boy, you're a sad boy. We call these the sad boys. He must have been in his feelings too about my feelings rant. I agree, Tony. It's going to be a good one. Fredo, I'm working on it. Don't worry, brother. I think I might get it done, but it's tough. It's tough. I got mine. I just had a randomly friend decide. Oh, did you reach out? Well, I don't know. It depends. I don't know. You got to see. Fly Eagle says, no, I'm not in mine. My mother was all about getting the job done. Yeah, I agree. I'm with you. I don't know what I don't understand what's funny about that. My account. Yeah, I have an LLC business account. I actually probably still have the notification right here on my screen. Krause Digital LLC paid Dan Cilio 1 hour ago, 9 a.m. auto deposit. Just got the notification. I mean, holy crap. You see how miserable people will do anything to bring you down to their level of misery. I've experienced this in every single phase of my life. Miserable people will do anything to make you miserable. That's just what they do. You're a deadbeat, brother. You don't have shit. Bitch ass. Go ahead, make more. Go ahead, go make more blackface AI because that's real cute. Go ahead, go pose as somebody else on the internet who you're not because you have to lie to yourself about what you are and who you are in life. I don't. I know who I am. I love who I am. I'm open with who I am with everybody here. I know that makes you a little upset, all right? But you're in your feelings. So cry about it. Bitch ass. Yeah, that's a lot of people, Curtis. A lot of people do that. Tony, that's the truth, my man. That's the truth. You want to make someone jealous? Have more than them in life. That's just how it goes. I'm blessed that I don't have that gene. I do not care what other people have. I hope you all win. I even hope that Trey Daniel wins, but I don't think he is. That's where I feel bad for him. I hope he does, though. I hope he wins big because he seems to be miserable. Not this generation. Yeah, there's a lot of cream puffs nowadays. One of us is in a film. Well, what do you mean? I'm on the show. You're in the chat behind an anonymous fake name and fake account and fake a picture. I mean, what do you mean? You act like we're both standing up there on the podium. They're both Trey and Zander are on the podium. Okay. Yeah, Daz, that's a lot of people. I've learned that too, man. All right. I've learned that the jealousy in the world is crazy. I've even seen it in not my direct family, but someone I'm close with's family, and they're all their siblings. It's just like they hate when one sibling does something well. I'm like, what? I don't get that. I don't get that even in the slightest. But it is what it is. All right, I got to run. I got to post up this show noon today. Speaking of him, my great and legendary father, his show will go up today at noon. All right, Eagles Daily with Joe Krause. That'll be posting today at noon. I will go and work on that now. That'll be posted up on the channel. I thought we had a good show today. John had 11-6. I had 12-5. I had Dallas sweeping the Birds. I know you guys don't like that, but that's just how I feel. I feel like Dallas is going to have a great regular season, and they're going to fall flat in the playoffs. That's what they normally do, and that's a team that's built for regular season success, I think, this year. They have a great offense. Kind of a spotty defense, but the defense was so bad last year. How are they going to be worse? It's like our offense. I mean, can our offense really be worse? Dallas is literally I think they were the 32nd ranked defense last year. Dallas defense ranking 2025. 32nd overall. I mean, they legitimately cannot get worse. Last in the league in both points allowed and passing yards allowed. I mean, that is insane. They were giving up 30.1 points per game. 30.1 points per game. So they can't get worse. They can't get worse. And I think their offense is going to be pretty damn good again. So we'll see. We'll see. Effing off. Grace, I understand it's not going to be a popular take with Eagles fans, but, you know, I don't love the spot. I don't love Monday Night Football in Week 7. And then I don't love playing on Thanksgiving in Jerry's world. I don't think that's an advantageous game for the Eagles there at all. So that's just my thought process on it. Who knows? Maybe they'll sweep Dallas and I'll have to eat some crow on it. That would be the best case scenario. But all right, guys, love all you guys. Hit that like button. Trey, I even love you, brother. No worries. I know you're a little upset. It's all good. All right, it's all good. I love you, pal. All right, I'll give you a back. I'll give you a pat on the back. Come on, bring it in for a hug. Bring it in for a hug, Mr. Trey. Bring it in for a hug. I'll make sure I go and tell my dad to stop everything he's doing to take care of his family, who he brought into this world. All right, if that will make you feel better. If that makes you feel better, let me know. All right, I'll give him a call now and tell him, you come on in for a hug. It's all going to be okay. It's all going to be okay. All right, guys. Love all you guys. Hit that like button. See you next time, everybody.
EAGLES. Eagles.